This is the most toxic show. Like,
spin it one more time. Stay right there. Left.
to the left, man.
Come here, sis. You do a little 360 for Jakai. Little shit back there. I'm gonna say yes.
You ain't look up nothing. Bye. How the f you don't know where I'm from? You talking to me? Get the f on.
Get the f
Bye.
Get the f on.
Sorry. Hi.
Okay. Who I got with me?
Abria Blanco.
Okay.
Thank God.
This is me. I'm a fucking weird bitch, and I suck whoever's dick I want to suck, and I fuck whoever I want to fuck, and I love whoever I want to fuck, and they love me back if they want.
Can we just like put this into perspective, guys? Like, these women are on here to promote themselves too.
Bitch, what I was trying to say is this situation got me so wet and so dry at the same time. Exactly.
What's up, bitches? Welcome back to another episode of So Wet, So Dry. I am one of your hosts, Autumn. Like this season, I have a high addiction to Celsius and I'm getting a little concerned, and I work in entertainment.
And I'm your other host, Fiji, like the island, like the water. I accidentally became important at work and it's ruining my life. And I work in social media and marketing.
If you guys are new here, tuning in to So Wet, So Dry for the very first time, what we do is we explore duality through deep diving topics about sex, relationships, personal identity, all where internet trends and reality collide. We post polls for every single episode that we do on our Instagram stories, so follow us there at So Wet So Dry. The O's are zeros to be a part of that. You can submit a story, have your voice heard in the episode for that week. And whatever y'all are doing right now, whatever platform you're on, please don't forget to subscribe, follow, like the video, drop a comment. You can leave us 5-star ratings on Amazon, Spotify, Apple, and written reviews on Apple as well. It helps so much. We've been getting a lot of love recently, so we promise to make it worth it for y'all, but make sure you do follow.
Yes, and today we are talking about humiliation, relationship, dating content, and the influencer to OnlyFans pipeline and the correlation between the two. But before we get into all of that, we're going to start the episode as we always do, talking about what we're so wet and so dry about in this very moment. And if you guys are new here and you don't give a fuck about what we have to say, you can skip forward to the next timestamp. We will catch you in the meat of the episode. We won't be offended, I promise. So I will go first. This week, I am so wet because I think I told you guys last week I had like a breakthrough with my therapist, and I was like, I need to go do like sober activities that are like arts, culture, like meet new people like during the daylight. So I downloaded Eventbrite and signed up for this library event at Atlanta Research Institute. The event was for a new book. It was a biography about Audre Lorde, and the writer is like from Atlanta. She came up through the writing program at this like research institute. So it was really cool because there was the woman who like manages Audre Lorde's like archives at a college there. Like there was a woman from Germany that was in Audre Lorde's like chapter of Black queer feminists, like all the way in fucking Germany. She flew out for this shit. Like there were just so many like queer women, like Black women. It was just such a like nice space. Like we started with taking deep breaths, and then she read pieces from the book, and it was just like giving me fucking chills.
Yeah.
And then after that, I went to another event because I was just trying to do it all in one day. And this was at Red Light Cafe, which is in Atlanta. It's like this small, like little bar performance space, I guess.
Cute.
And
yeah.
it was like a storytelling event. And I honestly was expecting it to be more of a like, oh, I wrote like a nice, like artistic story and I'm going to tell it. It was more like people just getting up there and like winging it like campfire style. So it was like a little not what I was fucking expecting. Like I was like, okay, I could definitely do this in the future if I wanted to like practice performance or whatever. Like it was still okay. But, you know, I don't know. And then I went to the bar that I always go to and got drunk. But I was home by like midnight. But
a whole night. A whole night.
A whole night. And it was really cool. Like I feel like the universe was working in like synchronicity because at the first event, the Audre Lorde event, they were talking like consistently about space and the importance of like women, the importance of women in your life and like making that space to like talk about these issues. And then the theme for the storytelling event was also fucking space. So I was like,
so weird.
I
I know. And
know.
I feel like, honestly, when you're in those spaces, it's like full body experience. Like
Yes.
you get chills. And honestly, I'm craving that type of energy right now, too. I'm so proud of you for going. Because, like, it's hard. Like, you worked all day. Like, it was not until night. Like,
I know.
It really is. But it's so worth it if you just, like, make yourself, like, do the thing. And you went by yourself, right?
I went by myself and I walked there. It was still like 85
Yeah, you did,
fucking
bitch.
degrees out, and then I Ubered and stuff. But it was cool. I honestly wish that I didn't try to fit too much into one day and I had stayed to like network at the first event, because like I felt like
you
those
didn't know.
people would, like I feel like we would have gotten along better than like there were only 15 people at the second event, so I was like, eh.
Right. Yeah.
But you know, like at least I
Less
went
than-
and I'll go like to other stuff. So
Yeah. It would be so cool to try that one day. So scary, though. But you get so much out of, like, going on a stage and just, like, talking and singing.
Right.
But this week, I'm so wet. Like I said, we have been getting a lot of love recently, particular in the DMs on Instagram and in the comment section on YouTube. So you know who you are. Thank you so much. It means so much. We're obviously really small creators, and it means, you know, a lot to us that people are thinking critically about the content we're putting out, because that's honestly all that we want. Like, we don't have the answer, you know, we just want to offer a new perspective and like bring something new into consideration, and maybe you'll think about things differently, whether it's right or wrong. So thank y'all so much for listening. I'm like seriously so wet. Like, we'll always text each other, go back and forth. Like, we freak out. We're like, oh my gosh, this person's so sweet.
Yeah, and it's been really cool to also see how like we're reaching people in literally like Eastern Europe, the UK, like Canada. Like, we're reaching audiences outside of the US, which is just like so trippy to fucking think about. But it makes me really excited because I feel like we focus a lot on an American perspective, but like I'm definitely excited to get like input from our listeners from other countries as well. Like, it'll just make the episodes better. So shout out to you guys. Like, the
Totally,
love,
dude.
it's making us feel like great and more motivated to create content.
Yeah, like in the political apathy episode, we were reading an article talking about how people in the UK, some people in the UK refer to conservative people as quote unquote Tories.
Yeah.
And then someone DM'd us and was like, yeah, you guys are right. Like, that is what.
Yeah.
It was just so funny because we have no idea. Like, you know, that article could have been, you know, misled information at that point. So it was just cool.
Yeah. Okay, for dry, not to bring it down, guys, but like as much love as we're getting, you would think things would be going smoothly over here at So Wet So Dry headquarters. But unfortunately,
They're
your girls have been having hella technical difficulties. Like, when I'm telling you, we lost two entire episodes. So if you guys follow us and you see our polls, we lost body count and we lost the one about female friendships and female friendship breakups. We hope to do those episodes
cried
in
in that
future.
one.
Yeah, like, bro, in the friendship one, me and Autumn, it was such a moment that like cannot be recreated
Again.
Like, we literally both cried about our friendship and our momentary like friendship. It was not momentarily, it was a good amount of time, but like our friendship breakup. And it was just, they were both really fucking good episodes,
And they're gone.
And fuck GarageBand. Just kidding, because we need it for this episode. If anything else goes wrong, I'm gonna cry.
And we don't like to just like redo an episode because it just doesn't feel as genuine. It's like if you say the same thing, it's like I already know what she's gonna say. It's like
feels
you don't
more
get
forced.
the reactionary anymore. Like,
Yeah.
because so it's unfortunate. We might like go back to those in a couple of months, like maybe with a new perspective. But as of right now, those are dead, guys. So moving on. But yeah, this week I'm so dry. Like, I'm definitely going through a career
transition.
I'm going through a career transition right now. Thank you, BG. And I basically am just in envy of sex workers right now. I used to be a sex worker. I used to be a stripper, and I just really miss it. But I know that it's not good for me, but I do feel a lot of jealousy. It's just really hard once you experience making that much money in one night to go to like a typical other job that just will never pay you that much. Like, the money really is addicting, and it's always going to be in the back of my mind. And like, I'm just dry about it a little bit, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. So let's get into this episode though. We are super excited. As Fiji said, we're talking about humiliation content, which is really just kind of a new form of relationship dating content going around on the internet. And also the OnlyFans to influencer pipeline, the blurred lines between the two. So let's get into it. So we're going to start with the early stages of relationship dating / maybe humiliation type content. We watched Cameron Suzanne's YouTube video called This Humiliation Content Needs to Stop, and we will reference it throughout the episode. But just to start, and I didn't even think of this, so she brought up some things. I was like, oh, you're so right. So there used to be smash or pass videos like 4 or 5 years ago, but it just wasn't as, it's not what it is now.
Yeah.
It was a lot different. It was kind of more casual. A lot of times it was like celebrities and like people you would never meet. Like you weren't really smash or passing on the person in front of you. Yeah, so it was different. And then we all know about the like my status for a rate, emoji rates, like rate me.
Oh my God. TBT
so
to Facebook era.
Which is kind of the same idea. Like, would you smash or pass me?
Yep.
But it's just a rating online. It's not in person.
And remember,
anything.
you would always if you went to school with someone and you weren't that cool with them, or you weren't really friends, I would always just give them a 7 or a 6.5 or a 7, because you don't want to be I was never mean about it, and then you give all your best friends 10s. There was such a culture right way to do that shit.
I don't even remember. I feel like I wasn't even participating in those, which is so weird. But I honestly don't remember. I think I was scared. I was like, what are you going to rate me? I don't know. But then there started being content a few years ago, maybe 2 years ago. And it was short or tall girls. Which race would you not date? Would you date girls with stretch marks? And it started becoming these really controversial, fucked up questions. And it was street interviews. People would go up to people on the street. Short or tall girls, would you date a loyal guy, but he has no money? Whatever.
The thing about that is I feel like they mask it under we're just being honest. We're having real conversations about preferences, but it's ew, okay.
I know. And then that brings us to today. And we are going to define today's humiliation content. But first, we're going to talk about the early stages of OnlyFans now. So we also watched Caitlin Pulowski's YouTube video called From Social Media Influencer to OnlyFans Creator, The Shocking New Trend. And she provided some helpful research in her video kind of about the brief history of OnlyFans. So OnlyFans was born in 2016 as a social network that would serve as a meeting point between fashion influencers and followers. Its creator, British Tim Stokely, initially conceived it as a premium content platform for which users paid to see the publications of their quote-unquote idols. However, in 2018, the social network was acquired 75% by Leonid Radvinsky, owner of the live sex website My Free Cams. And the site changed course and became what it is today, a platform for adults where content creators share erotic or sexual images or videos, these being the main claim of the network. Influencers, musicians, actors, or well-known faces that use the social network manage to generate income with these contents, which they receive directly from their followers or from the pay-per-view function. And perhaps because of this, it is worth noting that during the months of the pandemic, OnlyFans went from 20 to 120 million registered users, which is crazy. The pandemic definitely plays a huge part. That's a crazy jump. But I do remember, because if you guys don't know, I did OnlyFans for about, maybe 9 months to a year. I was more so doing stripping. It was just kind of a way for, some clients to, get a little extra and, just random side hustle money. Why the fuck not, I thought, basically. Yeah. But it's a lot of people were on there just subscribe to see my paintings. That definitely did exist more. And I'm sure maybe it still does a little bit. But the article said, today it is completely different, and it is very much like, you know, a porn website, I would argue, you know, for some.
Yeah, and I remember, like, it's so funny that it says 2018 because that makes me feel fucking old.
Old.
Because I remember when, like, OnlyFans was becoming a thing, like, there were a bunch of, like, sex workers, sex creators on OnlyFans, and the platform didn't want to be associated with that. Do you remember?
Right.
And that was,
And
like,
they were,
around
like,
2018.
mad.
Yeah, and they were, like, going to crack down on it, and all the OnlyFans creators were like, we
I
made
do.
your platform.
I
so
do.
I didn't know that since then, like, the guy that had the My Free Cams bought it. But that makes sense. Like,
Makes
I'm happy
sense.
to see it go in
That's
that
why the
direction.
crackdown was not cracked down.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep,
that's,
yep.
I know, that's crazy. So just some more stats for y'all. We found this from Enterprise Apps Today. As of 2024, OnlyFans has surpassed 210 million registered users, according to the information provided by the CEO, Tim Stokely. The platform is especially popular among male users, surprise, surprise, who constitute 87% of its audience, while female users make up 10% and 3% prefer not to disclose their gender. Creators on OnlyFans have been seeing substantial earnings, with the total amount paid to creators hitting USD 12.5 billion by 2022. More than 300 creators earn over USD 1 million annually, and over 16,000 creators earn more than 50,000 per year. Despite the platform's success, the median OnlyFans account earns around $180 per month, with top 1% of creators earning 33% of the income.
Okay,
and then
real quick, I have a question. Okay.
Okay.
So, because I'm like,
one
one of the things I think about with OnlyFans is like, they're obviously like creating content and profiting off of it like quite a bit. Like OnlyFans like shares creator money. Do you think that on average it's more than like a TikTok creator with the same amount of following, or like Instagram? Do you know at all? Because I'm like, I know how YouTube is known as being one of the platforms that really like encourages creators and splits profits and all of that. But TikTok's iffy and Instagram is iffy. Like, I was monetized on Instagram for a little bit, and the most I ever made was like $100 a month. So I'm like, what is OnlyFans? Like, is it better? And if so, that's really interesting that, like, it makes sense, you know?
I know. I don't know what, like, the average TikToker makes, because I feel like it's kind of the same thing. It's like, you think everyone has so much money if they have an OnlyFans, and same thing with TikTokers. You think, like, oh, they have 1 million followers. Like, they get all these likes, but it's like, you're right. Like, they don't make that much money. And YouTube is definitely known as, like, the one to, like, bring in the most, but I know, and that just goes along with the blurred lines, because some people post on their OnlyFans like very similar to what is on their Instagram already as well. So it's a really good point.
Interesting.
I did want to note just the highest paid OnlyFans creators. Black China's number 1. We got Bella Thorne, Cardi B, Tyga, Mia Khalifa, Erica Mena, Bad Baby, Gem 101, Pia Mia, Safari Samuels. So, you know, that's celebrity type shit. You know, all of those top creators. And I actually used to fuck with Pia Mia. Like, I thought she had a cool, like, sound, like, in high school.
She was a music artist? I don't really know her.
Like, not really. She was, like, friends with Kylie Jenner, and Kylie Jenner took a video of her singing, and she, like, blew the fuck up off of that a little bit.
Okay.
But it was, like, she hasn't done any singing. I'm sure it's, like, she just does OnlyFans, I guess, now. But I just wanted to, you know, put that into perspective, just to know, like, who the top creators are.
Because Mia Khalifa started in porn. And what's really interesting is Mia Khalifa, her agency or something with, like, Pornhub or whatever, like, dropped her because she was saying Free Palestine. Like, this was happening, like, a few months ago. So, like,
I watched an interview with her, and it's not in the episode. I don't think I included it, but it was in the High-Low podcast, and I think she talked about that.
Yeah, because it's interesting to me that, I mean, maybe Erica Mena and Gen 101 and Safari Samuels are, like, sex creators first, but everyone else, like, and does Cardi B even post sexual? And did Bella Thorne get in trouble for, like, just posting bikini pics when she first dropped?
I think the list is also just like the highest paid OnlyFans creators of all time. So maybe they're not on the platform anymore, but it's like no one's topped the money that they made.
Yeah, because it was low-key drama when Bella Thorne first released hers.
Dude,
I remember there's a
hated
documentary.
it.
Yeah, because she like broke the platform, like it broke the scales or something.
But it's like it's not for you, in my opinion.
Exactly. Like
you already have so much money. Like why? Like let other that pissed me off too. Okay, so now real quick, we're gonna talk a little bit about the influencers turning to OnlyFans and just the idea that sex work is trending now in general, like with the rise of everything. Yeah. More people are sex workers, you know, visibly in front of everyone's eyes. Yeah. You know, it's something new. So back to Caitlin Pulowski's video, I do want to note that she is anti-sex work. So when she said that, and she said kind of, I'm not pro OnlyFans, it did leave a bad taste in my mouth, so I was kind of like, do I even want to watch this? But I think it's interesting to hear other people's perspectives. And at the end of the day, a lot of people are anti-sex work. It sucks, but it's true. So basically, she was talking about, you know, OnlyFans is known to be the ticket to success. Big money, because the biggest creators on OnlyFans are making bank, like Cardi B, Bella Thorne, etc., Black China. But it's oversaturated. Really only the top 1% make money. And she's like, maybe people switch from influencer to OnlyFans because it's less work. They don't need to necessarily rely on brand deals anymore. You kind of have more control. You get in what you put out of it.
Is it less work?
That's what she was arguing. That's what she was arguing. And then lastly, she said, a lot of people used to want to be influencers, and now it's like everyone wants to be an OnlyFans girl, not necessarily an influencer anymore. She said the two are interchangeable. If you have an audience on one platform, you can grow to others as well. Skills are transferable from influencer to OnlyFans. So is it more work? Is it less work? No, absolutely the fuck not. I do get what she's saying about brand deals, because OnlyFans, you know, the majority of OnlyFans girls aren't doing brand deals on OnlyFans.
You could get like vibrator deals.
You could, exactly. Some of them do, but it's like the majority is just like, you know, what your photos, your videos, your image, whatever. And I do agree that like if you're an influencer and you have a big platform, it's so easy for you to go to OnlyFans and make money. Like when I did OnlyFans, I literally started from zero. I made a brand new Instagram, you guys. What you guys follow me now, like that used to, that was made like 2 years ago and I had 0 followers. Like I literally started from the beginning, bitch. Like, so I do get that, but I do agree that like there is this era of like everyone wanting to be on OnlyFans. Like I do agree with that, whether I think it's bad or good, you know, we'll save that for later, but I do agree with her to that extent. But like, and I will say that she was like, I'm not pro OnlyFans work, but please leave comments. Like if you are like, so she wasn't really hating on anyone, but it's also just like, okay, like why? I don't get it, but anyways, that's what she kind of had to say about the pipeline situation.
Yeah, one of the things that pisses me off the most whenever people talk about OnlyFans strippers, like whatever, is like when they talk about it being easy or like easier.
Like, bro!
And like, you know, Andrew Tate, like whatever the dude, I don't know their fucking names, like they talk about living life on easy mode or whatever for women. And I'm like, this is the really, really fucking annoying thing, because it's like, if I were to drop an OnlyFans, I know this, on my Instagram, I would make significantly more money than I am making from the podcast. Like, that is a thing. Like, the money that I can make from my body is more than the money that I can make from my brain. And that is the patriarchy that we are fucking living in. So is it easier to take that route? In a sense, yes. But you are also still creating content, editing content, posting content, like giving up, like exploiting a different sort of yourself, because like we talked about in trauma dumping, like no matter what you do, you're exploiting yourself in some fucking way.
Right.
But that's why it's so annoying, because it's like, it's not easier.
Yeah. Because it's like there's two parts of it. One part, it's a lot of work to grow your audience. And the second part is it's a lot of work to keep up with the content, make the content, chat with people, make sure you're doing new and exciting things, switching it up. And it's like, I get if you already have a big following, you go to OnlyFans. Yeah, you don't need to grow your audience. You don't need to be on Reddit marketing every day like I was. But like, it's still a lot of work. You're still constantly doing that.
Yeah.
And it's like never enough for people. Like, there's no days off. Like,
And
your
it's like-
story has to be popping constantly. Like, it's a lot
of like, it's the same amount, I would say, of work as being an influencer or being a content creator, because it's the same
just
process.
different.
It's just a different style. It's just like your body, instead of talking or talking dirty instead of talking about a topic.
Exactly.
But like, the frustrating thing, and I think like me and you have both been in this situation. Like, I know I felt this way when I was stripping, is like, what is the fastest way for me to make money? And especially as an influencer who maybe you were a successful influencer on Instagram at a time, but now you're not getting brand deals, or now your music's not hitting or whatever.
Right.
Like, it is easier to go to OnlyFans, but that is a little sad in a way. Like, not to say like it's sad what sex workers and strippers do, because like, I think that work is valuable, and I think it's important, and I think it should be appreciated more than it is. But I also think that it speaks a lot to our society and the patriarchy, how like that is the route for women, which is why when fucking Andrew Tate and all them talk about this shit, like easy mode, it's like, bro, like, this is the society that men fucking created. Like, women bust their ass to try to do this other shit, and then they're like, you know, how many times have we thought about going back to the strip club? You said it in the beginning of this episode.
Bro, and that's the double-edged sword, because it's like, sex work is so valid. It can be empowering. It's been around forever, and it's not going anywhere. It's just been manifested into different, you know, genres of, or you know what I mean? But also at the same time, it's like, you can't say that it doesn't reinforce this patriarchy. But I feel like I'm at the point where I don't want to be like, oh no, it's bad for women, you shouldn't do that, because I just feel like I'm not on the right side. Like, I want to be pro sex work. It's valuable. It's not harmful to society. Yeah. But you look at the porn statistics, you look at all these 18-year-olds going to OnlyFans. I mean, is that good? I mean, no.
I mean, it's like a yes and conversation, right?
Yes and.
Because it's like, we should like, ideally live in a society where a woman could create TikTok content or YouTube content or music and make the same amount, like, if she's like really talented, as she does for her body. Like, that would be like great. But at the same time,
unfortunately, though,
like women do have an advantage in the sex work porn industry and all of that, because like, it's like creating that type of content, like, there's always gonna be money there.
Always.
And women are on top. So it's like, you know, there's way less male creators.
There. Like, I would love to do an episode one day about the history of sex work, because I'm just curious to learn more. Yes. But it really is like one of the longest standing.
It goes back to the Bible
industries.
Mary
ever.
Magdalene, like, she was a fucking sex worker. Like,
come on, bro. They were in the cavemen lining up.
They were like that one in the like green little robe with the sandals. Right. I want her.
Oh my God. Okay, so more on this pipeline. We read this article from GeorgeHerald.com, and basically they kind of interviewed and talked about this specialist named Asil Diary, and she's the director of the AMD Consulting Group, specializing in digital marketing, social media, and customer acquisition. So, yeah, I knew you would like that. So she says, many influencers are not making as much money as they used to due to the amount of competition and the drop in audience engagement on major social networks like Instagram. They turn to OnlyFans to maintain or grow their lifestyle, but this puts their original audience at risk, as they may not be in line with the new activities, she explains. Imagine that your favorite beauty influencer that you've been following for years decides to join OnlyFans, which might lead you or other followers to look at that person differently and not want to engage with them anymore, posits Diary. Not only can the association with OnlyFans and the creation of adult content impact brand relationships between brand managers and influencers, it can also prevent creators from reaching professional goals due to the currently upheld, albeit archaic, yeah, bitch, I got that, beliefs around adult content and sex work. Think about the impact on an image or personal brand. Many women have been fighting to be respected, valued, and promoted in the workspace, begins Diary, before adding, starting OnlyFans is a personal choice. However, we've seen that it would not empower them in their professional life, as it might even prevent them from reaching other professional goals. So a little bit of a downer, I know, but you know, unfortunately, it is the reality. If you're an influencer that goes to OnlyFans, you could lose some of your audience. Some people that aren't, you know, pro sex work. But I'm like, fuck them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I feel like it also depends on your audience and depends on what you're doing. Like, if you're a music artist that, like, makes music videos where you're, like, twerking and, like, shaking ass and, like, whatever,
Right.
and you have a predominantly male following for whatever reason, or then it would be more aligned. Like, I'm thinking even us, like, we do sex content, but majority of our audience is women. So it's like, I don't know if that would necessarily align. Like, would it align? Would they unfollow us? I don't think so. But would they subscribe? Probably not.
Probably, yeah. Would they drop bans? No.
Yeah, no. So it's like, I think some people, it's like, it's natural and it makes sense. Like, maybe Cardi B or even Bad Baby to a certain extent, which she was like, got famous so young. So it's super weird to me why she's like really popular, because I think she's another one, like, started at 18th birthday, like, got on there. But yeah, it's definitely like ruins your professional credit, like all of that.
Yeah, we've all heard the stories, you know, of a teacher getting fired because of OnlyFans. I mean, it's horrible, and that does have truth to it. But it's also, you know, that people aren't making as much money on Instagram, too.
Yes.
It's like that has a lot to do with it as well, the pivot.
Yeah.
And I feel like once you kind of blow up on one platform, people go to Twitter, then follow me on Instagram, follow me on my YouTube. I have a YouTube too, guys, you know? And so OnlyFans is just another, you know, place like that.
Yeah. And honestly, like, a lot of TikTok creators I've noticed have been moving to YouTube because, you know, TikTok might get banned. Their monetization isn't as good, like all of those things. So it's natural. And even like, guys, like, I work in marketing, like I work like B2B, like corporate stuff, but like, we're in a recession, heading into a recession, all of those things. Like, marketing budgets are fucking lower. So like, the money that brands have to spend on big influencer deals just like aren't there as much anymore, you know?
Totally.
And they've like found ways to get cheaper user generated content or use AI and all of these other tools. So it's like, it's really hurting the entire industry.
It all comes back to AI, bitch. Okay, and then a quick note on just how, like we said, overall sex work is trending right now. This article says, of course, sex work has always been prevalent. There's even the saying that prostitution was the first job, but the popularity of OnlyFans has reached a new level. Though there has always been X-rated content in the past, working in the industry was seen as a last resort with a level of shame to it. Porn has been proven to physically deteriorate the brain, and the effects of it are visible through the ways our online generation has come to view sex. By deteriorating our brains and destroying our perception of real sex, porn has become a public health crisis. But now that making money off sexual content is easier than ever before, it's not only accepted, but encouraged by celebrities and the media. For instance, Beyonce's remix of Savage with Megan Thee Stallion included a shout out to OnlyFans, which saw a 15% spike in activity. Many other celebrities have joined, including, like we said, Cardi B. We got DJ Khaled and Bella Thorne.
DJ Khaled is on OnlyFans?
Bro. Who have each made millions of dollars. These influencers make extra money by promoting OnlyFans, adding to the overwhelming presence of the platform everywhere. So celebrities do have a big impact in why this is the OnlyFans, you know, rose to the OnlyFans boom, bitch. Literally.
It's booming.
And you know, I do think because of the rise in X-rated content that young people will view sex differently. I don't know if how they're viewing it now is good, but I don't think viewing sex differently is bad. I don't think we've ever viewed sex in the right way. Yeah. So I'm not as mad about that, but we'll get more into it.
Yeah. Wait, I just want to be like, because the porn thing, and I feel like that can be another episode. We've talked about doing that as an episode in the past, and I think that would be a good one to come later after this. But I'm like, I don't know, like, I'm so iffy on that because I feel like there's so much talk about how it's ruining young minds, and I feel like it definitely, like, I'm like, it definitely is, but it definitely, I don't know, I'm just mixed.
I don't know either, and it's a lot to think about, and we are going to think about it in this episode a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I agree, I definitely want to deep dive that shit, because it has to do with the male loneliness epidemic as well, you know, it goes hand in hand with the porn addiction. So real quick, a little bit more on the blurred lines between influencing and sex work. This article from Vox, chef's motherfucking kiss. When I found this article, I was like, thank God, this is what I was missing. This article slaps, you guys. Linked in the sources, read it. So it says, social media forced everyone from the most uninteresting nobody to the planet's biggest stars to learn how to offer themselves up for digital consumption. Those who were particularly adept at this skill necessitated new terms like influencer, who seemed to make money just by being themselves. The transactional nature of the relationship between influencer and follower has become only more explicit. Sending casual tips to creators is now encouraged on Twitter, Twitch, and Spotify. And with link optimizers such as Linktree, anyone can make their Venmo, Cash App, or OnlyFans accessible without directly advertising it. The leap to online sex work, if you think sending a few pictures to a follower who sends you a bit of cash in return counts as sex work, isn't a difficult one to make. If the American dream is getting paid for doing what you love, and what you love is to present an idealized version of yourself on the internet and amassing an audience of people who love looking at you in return, the difference between influencing and sex work is arguably only a matter of spectrum. It's Rule 43 again. If your livelihood depends on pleasing an audience, what a large percentage of your audience is going to want to see is you naked. It's still up to you whether to give that to them, but the pipeline from influencer to sex worker has never been clearer.
Yes, like exactly. It's like exploiting yourself type of thing too, because it's like, bro, like that's what people want, like sex, money, drugs, like sex, money, drugs, fucking, what's the other one? No, it's sex, money, and drugs, right? Yeah,
and rock and roll. And I think we're gonna talk about it more later, but it's even like, it's not even just OnlyFans. It's like, why do all the biggest pop stars, rappers, you know, R&B singers, like, why are they always naked? Like, why,
and talking about sex.
It speaks to so much more than just OnlyFans, and it really is about the whole culture of just influencing, and like the direct correlation to just sex and sex appeal is wild. And the uprising in OnlyFans, the OnlyFans boom just made this 10 times more than it already was. Because let's be honest, like, this shit's nothing new.
Yep.
But 18-year-olds having access to this X-rated content is new.
Yeah, bro.
You know? But I just think it's so interesting to think about the blurred lines too, because it's really like, as an influencer, and like you said, it's the same thing. As an influencer, you're making reels about, you know, you do a cooking reel, and then you do a story time reel, and then you do a skincare reel, and you're editing this content. And then for OnlyFans, it's like, okay, I'm doing a beach photo shoot. Okay, I'm doing a solo sesh, like whatever it is, but it's the same thing. You're just using your body, you know? So I don't know. It's crazy. It really is. Okay, now we are going to define this sort of new age dating content, aka humiliation content. So there's a lot of different types going on, but one of the most popular is 20 women, 1 rapper, 20 women, 1 lesbian, 20 guys, 1 influencer. And unfortunately, there was also, I'm not going to put a video because it makes me want to cry, but there was one with children, and it was like 10-year-old kids.
Ew.
There was a 10-year-old rapper and a bunch of 10-year-old girls, like literally a Riz competition with 10-year-olds. It was crazy.
Bye.
So that was another one, but let's watch this type of, 20 women, 1 rapper, whatever.
This is the most toxic show. Like, this can never be on cable. Like, this has to be right here where it's at. After I'm done with this shit is going bad.
Hey, what's up?
What's up?
I'm Jasmine.
Jasmine? Mm-hmm. That's a tongue ring or that's gum?
Tongue ring.
Let me see one more time. One more time. It hurt?
Nah, not really.
Spin around right quick. Move your braid, like, when you spin around, move your braid, like, over your shoulder. You left 2, move them 2. There's 2 more left. Spin around one more time. Stay right there. Turn around. Yeah. Left.
The left, man.
Damn. I get what? I like it.
What's up, girl?
What's poppin'?
How you doing?
I'm good.
I like blonde. I flirt like this just me. Like, what's your name?
I'm Spiffy.
Spiffy?
Yes.
What's your real name?
Jakaya.
Jakaya. Why you tell me your name Spiffy?
That's
No
what
fucking
I am.
Spiffy, girl. You Jakaya. Come here, sis. Do a little 360 for me. Jakaya. Little shit back there. I'm gonna say yes.
What's up?
What's up?
What's up?
What's up? I like your
Well, you
fit.
asking me questions. What the fuck's
Okay,
up?
okay. Well, tell you what. So look, where you from?
Chicago. You know where the fuck I'm from.
How I was supposed to know that?
Man, you know where I'm from. How you ain't know? Why the fuck you here? The fuck you ain't look up nothing? Bye. How the fuck you don't know where I'm from? You talking to me? Get the fuck on.
Get the fuck.
Bye.
You can get the fuck on.
I don't
You
care.
can get the fuck on. I don't know, how the hell I'm supposed to know where the fuck you from? Don't nobody know about you. Ain't nobody just finna look shit up. You nigga, light skin ass, light skin. You look like mulatto with your light skin ass. Why your hairline so far back?
What's up? Nice to meet you. My name Country Boy.
Hello.
What's up? What you gonna do, man? Left or right?
What's your name? No.
No?
No, but you probably cool as shit. Look
Yeah,
like you got some
you gotta-
fire ass weed.
Okay. All right, what's up? How you doing? Jocelyn? What's up?
Jay, nice to meet you.
Okay.
Who's smashing?
Smash? Okay, thank you. All right. You quick with it. You know what you like.
You know, What's your type?
I really like what I like. I like, you know what I'm saying? I just like beauty in general, but it gotta have something back there. You know what I'm saying? Something to grab
What
on.
you trying?
Yeah, I'm trying to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all there.
It's all there.
It's all there. And then something, ain't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's a yeah. That's
Yeah.
a yes for sure. Okay. Hey, put your Instagram too somewhere. Just in case I just forget your face. I got short-term memory. Lost. But if you was lost, I'd find you. For real.
Would you?
I would. Miss Zay. All right, now. Don't walk too fast. Don't walk too slow. Walk just right.
Okay, guys, so full disclosure, first of all, I live in Atlanta and I was invited to go on one of these. And the reason that the G Herbo one pissed me off so fucking much is because when I was invited on this, I obviously asked who is the rapper because you want to know. They don't tell any of the girls who the rapper is until the day that they are filming, until they see him. So
Right.
it's like for him to be all salty that she doesn't
Bro,
know
he
who
sucks.
he is, like, bye. Like, I wish she had said that. Like, she said something about his hairline, which I thought was, like, funny. But, like, I
Yeah,
don't know.
'cause
The girl,
honestly-
like, the girl spinning around, like, showing her ass, like, all of that just for him to say no. Like, it's sad. Like, it is, like, fucking humiliating. Like,
it's hard to watch.
It's
Yeah.
it's so hard to watch. And, like, I think NLE Choppa is, like, so fucking sexy. And, like, I think overall, like, he's a very respectful guy. Like, I didn't watch the whole thing. I just saw this clip that you had put in. But, like,
Yeah.
he is, like, aligning himself with the queer community. He's been, like, very respectful of, like, women in videos that I've seen. So, like, I do know that, like, some rappers go on it, I guess, for promo. And they're not, like, assholes.
But most of them are. Because, yeah, the NLE Choppa ones are definitely not as bad. Like, he definitely asks to, like, see their body and stuff, but he's not rude that I've seen.
Yeah.
And even, I don't remember his name, but the young kid who was 18 and he was like, he was talking to the blonde woman that walked in. He was like a little bit more funny with it as well, but like the majority are just like so uninterested. Like a lot of them, it looks like they don't even want to be there. G Herbo was like drunk the whole time. Like they couldn't even finish it.
He was
Like
sitting in a chair. Like
he was so weird, bro. And it's just like, on one hand, I'm like, this is the culture and these women do want to promote themselves. And it's like, they're just playing the game, like using the strategy. But on the other hand, it is hard to watch, especially the video where he made her turn around, move her hair, stay right there. Okay, turn back around. It was very dominant, humiliating, like something that you would see like on Pornhub, and then they would like fuck after that, you know?
Yeah.
And so that, a lot of it is hard to watch. Some of it's just a little bit more funny, lighthearted, but the overall idea and concept is just bizarre, and it's giving gangbang. Like it's just bizarre to me.
And you gotta go ahead.
Yeah.
I was
No,
just
that's
gonna
it.
say, and you gotta think, like, I mean, I was offered to do one of these things. Like, a lot of the girls that go on them are obviously like OnlyFans creators or strippers or whatever, or they're like influencers and all of these things. And it's like, how many opportunities do you have to like promote yourself and your brand? Not that I really feel like it's that good of promotion, because did they have the girls like Instagrams listed or anything, or no?
they would say it sometimes, like on the screen.
Okay.
And some of the other ones, you go up, you introduce yourself, you say your Instagram. So a lot of times they do, yeah. And they can say whatever they want. So some of them would go up to the rapper and be like, okay,
plug.
talk to the camera, plug, and then be like, okay, what's up?
Yeah, because I mean, that's how it was pitched to me. Like, it was a girl who asked me. It wasn't like a guy or anything like that. And like, she was just like, oh, I know you have like a podcast or whatever, like go to promote. Like, and I was with a guy at the time and I was like, oh, I have a man. And she was like, so do I, but I'm still going to do it. Like, he doesn't mind. Like, it's just promo. And that's really how it's pitched. And it's like, I get why women fucking do it, even if you're not an OnlyFans creator or whatever, because it's like, how many other fucking opportunities do you have to potentially go this viral in this way on this like public platform? That or like a music video being like a background extra or whatever. But it's like the opportunities for it to go wrong, like the
and then you think about it as well. If you are an OnlyFans creator, sex worker, you know, you are profiting off your body. You want people to see your body, so they subscribe. That's the work that you're doing. The work you put, it's your body. It's all of that. So maybe watching it as a viewer, you're looking at them like cattle. Like they're just, that's what I heard. Like a lot of people refer to them, it looking like on YouTube. But they go in, they show their body, and some guy's going to be like, oh, let me go get her OnlyFans, you know, at the end of the day. So it's like, you can look at it like it's so degrading, or you can look at it like, you know, it's degrading through the male gaze, but through the female gaze and a pro sex work gaze, they're just doing what they need to do to get their bag.
But then it could hurt you.
But it could, because it has so much potential to go wrong if they roast you and like really disrespect you.
Because you don't have editing control. Because that's the thing I think about. It's
Yeah.
like an OnlyFans girl, like say the first girl that like did the spin or whatever, like is an OnlyFans creator. I don't know if she is or not. Like say she makes like profits off of her body and all of these things. Like we know like one, like girls use filters, they use edits, they only show certain parts, like all of this stuff, they edit it. Like you don't have editing control over this. And if you get humiliated in front of the camera, if that's
It's
not
done.
the style of content that you create, like what if she's like a dominatrix or something? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I think it's like, it's so complicated, but I never want to like shame women for going on it, because I think it's a decision. Like I thought about it. Like I definitely thought about going on, because I was like, this is an opportunity to like be fucking seen, and I don't even make
They get
OnlyFans.
millions of views.
You can go fucking viral, and I've gone down spirals like watching this type of content before. It is addicting. Like it's like, oh, what's gonna happen next? Like, you know, like you hear people's inner thoughts type shit. Like it's like that.
Planning for this episode, I've probably watched like 50 of them, you guys. Like literally ask me anything, I'll ace the quiz. Like it's crazy. I deep dived the fuck out of it. And then I just found myself like watching for entertainment. But then I also like feel bad about that at the same time. I'm like, wow. And we are going to talk about in a little bit, like, why is this enjoyable? You know?
Yeah.
But I want to move on. Now we're going to talk about Pop the Balloon. So this is another type of content. They have Pop the Balloon, period. And then they have Pop the Balloon based on body, based on outfit, based on swimsuit, based on costume, based on face card. It's so much. Let's watch the compilation.
What's your name?
Carrie,
Carrie, where you from?
Dominican Republic.
Dominican Republic. Can y'all hear her? Yeah. Okay, cool. How old are you?
I'm 28.
28? Okay, cool. Do you have kids?
No, I got
All
a
right.
puppy.
A puppy?
Yeah.
Okay, so cool, right? You're probably wondering why all these guys have balloons and why you're here with a mask on your face, right? You know what you're doing?
No idea.
No idea? All right, so look, they're blind dating you based off your body today.
Oh, wow.
Wow,
That's
okay.
so nice.
Do you feel like you're gonna find your match?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay, cool. So what I need you to do is walk down this aisle and show them your body.
Okay.
When you get to the middle, can you hit a little 360 for the... When you're coming back, come back here and stop in the middle for me right there. Can we get a 360? This one's a little different. Okay. Okay, cool. You can come back. You can come back here. No problem. I know. All right, so look, none of you guys popped your balloons, so y'all feeling her body? Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Let me get my first lady to the floor. Twerking that my way already.
Sorry. Hi.
Okay. Who I got with me?
Abria Blanco.
Type shit.
I can't do that.
So look, based off appearance, are you guys popping your balloon or are you keeping them? Okay.
Thank God. Hallelujah.
Okay. All right, so look, So we're down to 2 balloons. You get what I'm saying? I have a few questions.
He asked me to.
Hey, it's a lot of follow the leader going on now.
It's okay because I ain't want now one of these niggas in this motherfucking line. Period. I got me and the key in the feds.
Let me get guy number 5.
Damn.
Hold on, y'all come here. Hold on. Walk with me, gang. Why'd you pop a balloon?
We see him before. I just don't like the way he walked out. Like, it was just
Okay. All right, what's your name?
Fade Montana.
Okay, my boy. How old are you?
25.
25? All right. Walk up here real quick. Damn. Oh, my. Hey, it's almost 4th of July. All right, let's start from here. Come here.
Why you did that? Y'all don't like this? King said this is different. I'm offering them something different.
Okay, so I have thoughts. The first woman's body is obviously fucking incredible. Like, whatever she's doing
To society standards, yes.
is
That's
amazing.
it. What else would you
What
ask
else
for?
would you fucking want? Like, that is the standard, and it's fucking beautiful. The second girl, I
She's
said,
gay, guys.
no, literally, I said the second girl. When like we were off camera watching it, I'm like, I told Autumn she has to be a stripper. Like the way that she walked up, like the little like kind of swag walk that she had, like bouncing her butt, I was like, that is a stripper fucking walk. Like she has to be. And I feel like that is why the guys popped the balloon, because she seemed confident. She seemed confident and flirty, and guys don't like that. And they're also follow the fucking leader. Like the guy said, and guys want a girl that like everyone wants. Like they don't like, it's so weird, especially when they're lined up like that. But then, what was I? Oh, so the ones with the girls, like I low key kind of like those more when it's like a guy that walks up and then it's all the girls, and I've seen
They're
girls,
ruthless,
like,
bro.
Yeah, and I've seen some where they haven't popped like right away, but it's more about like the guy's personality. I've noticed like sometimes, but one of the ones he had a briefcase. I don't know why I can't fucking forget that one. And they were like, "Why do you have a fucking briefcase?" But yeah, the balding head was crazy. Like it's kind of sad. Like honestly, like kind of shout out to him for like owning that and like making it like a joke.
Right.
I don't know, but like
that
it
was
is,
so
like,
crazy. That I put like some of the more like viral ones and just ones I thought were like representative of like what a lot of them were like. And yeah, you're right with the questions, because some of them a guy would be like, you know, they all wanted their balloon, or they all had their balloon unpopped. They all were feeling him, and then he was like, I have 3 kids, and it was like bop 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 bop. And so a lot of time it is that the questions, or they're like, do you have sex on the first night? Asking a woman. She's like, yeah, if the vibe is right. Bop, 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 bop. So sometimes it's not all about how they look. It is about the questions too. But I don't know. I think like just overall, like, first of all, you pop a balloon. It's so loud. It's like off-putting to hear so many pops right in front of your face. And it's like all about how you look. Like I personally like would rather do the like swipe left or right shit. Yeah. Because I just feel like the pop. Because you have 8 guys, not just one.
Okay, I would rather be one of the girls popping the balloon.
Oh,
I feel like
that would be easy as fuck. Like that would be incredible. But I'm like, if I had to do some of the humiliation part, because arguably, who's popping the balloons?
Because you could not be one guy's type, but if you're in front of 8 guys, but it
and
shows,
all of them.
And that's the weird thing about this content.
It would make
that
me
it's
sad.
Like, I feel like I know we're gonna get into why it's addicting and why people watch it, but I do feel like part of it is like even how I was saying with the first girl, like, you know, or the second girl, how everyone popped and then everyone popped after when he was like, oh, there's only 2 left. Like, I think it shows like social dynamics between men and like how, and even women too. Like if all the other girls don't want him, like, you know, like that type of stuff. It's
That's
like
such a good point, because I didn't even realize that, but that rings true throughout all of them. It's like guys really, and we know this is true from real life, but in these videos, they really do want someone that all the guys want but can't have. It's like that untouchable exclusivity. This is my girl. Like, oh, everyone's gonna want you tonight, but they can't have you. And that's crazy. And it's like a lot of follow the leader. Like, what are we, 5? Like, it's just like, and it's the like way he said that, I was like, we're not in kindergarten. Why are we playing follow the, like, bro? So it's crazy. And then the last videos we're gonna watch, so these are kind of a little bit more niche, but we also have a smash or pass to find love, not necessarily with rappers. again, based on body, outfit, whatever. There's something called push the button where you date each other and then someone pushes the button to be like, no, yes.
That looks a little more wholesome. Is that, can they see each other? They can see each other though.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
In the ones I watched.
They can't see each other?
Yes, there's ones where they can't see each other, and there was ones like Guess the BBL where you can't see them, you just see like kind of their reflection. There's Guess the Highest Body Count where you can't see them, and there's some like Smash or Pass based on body. So all the girls are lined up, like all you see is their body, not their faces.
Yes, because there used to be a show, and I think there still is in the UK, maybe there's an American version, where it was literally, it would show the feet first, then the knees, then the rest of the body.
That's
and
what
then,
they
like,
do.
Whatever. Like so that's maybe like this started with some shit like that. Okay, interesting.
Exactly.
Number 3, pull up. Okay. Your name was what? Don't answer that. Okay.
Let me get 360.
Side profile?
I hear the Dougie real quick.
Okay.
You good?
Nah, I don't think so.
She valid. Is this life? This is life.
What's your name?
My name is Timothy.
Timothy?
Timothy Quintavious III.
Oh.
Where you from?
DC.
DC. What's your name?
Essence.
Essence. Got a real prominent figure, like, you know what I'm saying? I think I'm scared of you.
Why are you scared?
Yeah.
Essence, can you please do a 360?
Right here?
Yeah, right there.
Damn! Is that a BBL?
Hell no.
It's real?
Yeah.
Can we test it?
Essence, can you please shake that shit?
Can you do like 2 jumps?
Smash or pass?
You a little too short. But you got nice eyes. And you put that on. I'm a pass. I'm a pass. I'm a pass. You're just not my type. I'm a pass. I'm a smash. I'm a smash.
What's your name?
Kim.
Can I get a 360?
Yeah.
Wait. Damn, you fat booty bitch. Oh my God. Can I grab it? What the f? Got a something? What the f?
You just can't grab it.
Can I tap it?
You can take me out first.
What the f?
Okay, so the first one that had like Kai Cenat in it or whatever, the guy was like, is this like life? Like, is this like real
That's
life?
why I put that in there because I was like, yeah.
Like,
yes.
this is fucking crazy. And I'm just like, I don't know. The spinning around is crazy. The jumping up and down is crazy. The can I touch it? And that was like someone else like in the background. Like, that shit was like, I don't know. And like that guy, the first one, he was like, I'm a little scared. Like, I was like, okay, like he's being like funny and like respectful a little bit or like whatever.
He's not scared.
Yeah.
What's he scared of?
And then the other girl that said, no, you can't touch it. And then he was like kind of pushing it a little bit.
And she was like, you have to take me out first. And then they left, like, as fucking if. Like, because I do think the guys that go on there, it's like, because it's all like smash or pass or find love. Like, you guys are never, you think these hoes are for everybody. You're not looking at them like they're real human beings. Like, don't pretend like you actually want to get to know them. Like, just make it for what it is, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know. I think I did put some more of the controversial ones in there to see, but it's just like the way people are treating each other so blatantly with cameras is crazy, you know?
Yeah.
And it's off-putting, you know? And I don't want to shame the women involved, but I do think it is really hard to watch sometimes because you want to just jump in there and remove the bad bitch from the situation.
And protect
because all
her.
those dudes, none of them are cute. I'm sorry. None of the guys that go on there are cute. The hosts aren't cute. The girls are top tier always. Like, they're always bad bitches. And, like, okay, I can't lie. Like, some of the rappers on there, like, I was like, yeah, like, I would
Daddy
be
a
nervous.
little
Like,
bit, yeah.
I would probably turn around if he asked me to, too.
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
I mean, that's the thing. If you're in that setting, like, if I made OnlyFans, like, I would do it, you know?
And, like, it just is, it reminds me of, like, a fantasy that I would never want to actually live out in real life, honestly. Like, that is kind of what it reminds me of. It's like being like a humiliation kink is real. And like, I do have one. Like, I like when people like make fun of me on some shit in bed or whatever. So it's like, part of it is like, it does like turn me on a little bit, the idea of this type of content, but like
in a porn scripted setting.
Porn scripted, and I never would want it to actually happen, like an inner fantasy that I think about.
Yeah.
Because I think in real life it would be scary, and that's the thing about a lot of my fantasies, like I would never want to actually do it.
Yeah.
Because it's actually terrifying. So that's what it feels like to me. Like it almost feels like I am watching porn. And a lot of the episodes, they will ask girls like to make it clap, and then they'll start jumping, making it clap. Sounds bad as fuck, like a whole beat. And they blur everything and they say link in Patreon. So they're also, you know, they have a Patreon with all the, and there's
do
like
the creators make. I do think
Girl,
they make money. I do
probably
think,
not.
I
think they do,
want to
yeah.
say that they get some sort of money, because I think when I had been reached out to for it, like I think it was paid, but it was mostly pushed as like promo. Like this is like a good opportunity to be seen. So I'm guessing that the pay is not that high.
I feel like it's like $100 or something.
Yeah, max.
Like I feel like I heard that somewhere, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we do have to take a look at like, you know, who's really creating this content. We are going to deep dive the hosts a little bit, because we have so many aspects going on here. We have, you know, people going on to be humiliated, quote unquote. We have people that are popping the balloon or smashing or passing. And then you have the host running the whole show. Like the amount of times they said, let me get my next lady out here. When I tell you it took me right back to the strip club, that's what they say. Let me get Autumn to the stage. Like it is very sex worky, the whole thing. And I think the average person that doesn't have sex work education, hasn't done sex work, isn't pro sex work, they're not going to see it like that.
Yeah.
They're going to see it in a different way. And I see it in that way too. It is fucked up and it's hard to watch. I do get that. But it also really does remind me of a sex work type of space.
And the thing is, though, I feel like
let me get number 3 out here. Like,
yeah,
shut up,
and like
bro.
for the most part, I feel like at the strip club, like there are definitely like disrespectful ass guys and like terrible shit that happens. But at the same time, I feel like because we know this stuff is like so viral right now and everyone knows what it is, like the incentive to say some crazy shit to go viral is even higher. So like to say some more disrespectful, mean shit is way more likely than your common instance in the strip club where a guy's just like, oh, she's not my type, I'm gonna go with this girl. You know, because they're spending that money and they want someone they like. Like
saying some freaky shit. Like girls will go up to literally the baby and be like, what's your favorite sex position? Like it's just, and they know that it's like I think the hosts tell them like, oh, you should tell them this, you know? So there's just so much going on. And it does remind me of the whole call her daddy. It's like you're incentivized to be crazier every week or whatever.
Yeah.
And there is definitely that going on at play as well. But some of the creators, I just want to put them on the screen. I don't necessarily want to give them a shout out. So I don't think I'm going to say their names. But like the most of the ones I watched, like I did watch Ryan with the Sauce, Quante Savage, Nolu Vamar, King Sid, and some others. And there's also Nectar, Jubilee, and The Cut, and AMP, which is a little bit more wholesome. And we're not going to get too much into that in this video just because it doesn't really have the same sex work angle that we're going for in this episode. But Jubilee has a shit ton of content like this as well.
More like the button stuff. Don't they do the button, I think?
I think so. Yes, they do the button. They do the button. And Nectar as well. I learned this from Cameron Suzanne's video. They also have like quizzes on their website. Like they are kind of trying to get more real with it and kind of, you know, let other people see how they see each other, like played out in real time.
Yeah.
So some of it's not all bad, but it is, that content is a little bit different. But again, I don't think OnlyFans girls are lining up to go on Nectar the same way they are with these other types of videos. So that's why I just didn't want to deep dive it. But of course, we asked you guys, how do you feel about humiliation content? And 57% said embarrassing / hard to watch. 19% said it exists to degrade women. 14% said no judgment, people have their reasons. 10% said not serious, it's funny / entertaining. And a listener did submit a story saying to each their own.
And I do want to say, like, maybe it's just our audience. I don't know. I think 57% of y'all, some of y'all are lying because the numbers on this shit is crazy. I will admit I've guilty pleasure watched this shit, especially, I don't look it up on YouTube, but if it came on my TikTok For You
Yeah,
page.
it's
Like,
all
I'm
over there,
watching
too.
it. Like, first, that's how I first interacted with it. I put no judgment. People have their reasons. Like, I really think that's how I feel. Like, as far as, like, what it's doing to the greater society, I don't know.
That's where it gets
I don't
tough.
know, but, like, because we're talking about, like, you know, OnlyFans creators and sex workers, and there's only so many spaces to plug and promote yourself. And I think I see, like, a lot of them being that. I don't know. I have complicated feelings about it.
Yeah, but we're going to get into greater society later.
Yeah.
I know. Like, right now, it's just like, how do you feel about it watching it? And, like, part of me is, like, it is entertaining in some of the videos, especially with, like, NLE Choppa. Like, he was funny,
He's so
nice.
hot.
Because a lot of, you know, the rappers, they're not entertaining. They're boring as fuck. Like, at least he brings some fucking character. And, like, he held it down. So, I do agree that it's entertainment, but I don't agree that it's not serious. It definitely has huge impacts on communities, like the Black community specifically, because we can't just sit here and act like it's not a Black-dominated space, because it is. And there's a lot of creators on YouTube that, again, we'll get into that are like, this is not good for the Black community. And I agree with that as well, you know, but it's also the pro-sex work angle where, you know, where are these women supposed to go? It's millions of views. Like, you don't
and it's
know. Like,
rappers. Like, the whole titles of the video, it's like rappers, which is a primarily, like, Black-dominated industry for men. And then it's also, like, when we think about strippers and sex workers, like, especially if you're coming to Atlanta, it's like...
Yeah, because I think, like, they also do New York, LA. They do Charlotte. They did, but I do think a lot of it is in Atlanta.
Yeah,
a lot of the time.
Yeah, I've seen like
Atlanta really
a lot
that
of
city,
castings. Yeah.
And then so we wanted to ask you guys this as well, because it's one thing, how do you feel about the content? But we wanted to ask, would you judge your friend for partaking in this type of content? Because you can say, haha, it's funny. But if your best bitch is going on, are you going to judge her? And this one was completely down the middle. 52% said no, they wouldn't. And 48% said yes. I absolutely would not judge you for doing it.
No.
I 1000% would. I think we would talk about it and, like, talk about the implications and what could go wrong. And I would, like, want to, like, help set you up successfully mentally to do it.
Yeah.
But that's not directed at us, because I'm like, I would absolutely never. But I'm glad a lot of people were honest that they would judge their friend for going on. I don't really know why. I would love to know people's reasoning. So comment below if you have any reasons. But
yeah, I would definitely, because when I was asked to be on it, I texted my girl group chat and I was like, hey, like, I was invited on this thing if any of you guys want to go. And all of my girlfriends were like, no, this is embarrassing. I would never do this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, totally, like, that's how I felt. Like, I wouldn't do it.
You were like, yeah, never mind, guys.
But, like, I think, I think if, like, you came to me and told me you were going on it, I would 100% not judge you. But I think I would have a conversation with you, like, okay, like, just, like, did you watch some of the content? Like, let's just be, like, sure that we know what we're going into. Like, as a friend, like, I want to make sure you're good and you're prepared. But, like, especially if you're, like, a stripper, you're an OnlyFans creator, like, this aligns with your brands, like, you make music or something like that you really want to promote, like, I would be like, yes, like, go get that, like, as long as you are mentally prepared for the repercussions of it, you know?
And you have to be confident as fuck to go on there.
My heart would be beating out and that's why
Dude,
like,
I
honestly,
would be like, that's not the baby, that's my baby. That's
I would start crying. Like, I literally would start crying. Like, I cannot.
Oh, me too. I would well up, and then they'd be like,
and clap
I don't know.
it. I can't clap it. Like, I can maybe clap it if I, like, lean against the wall. Like, I'm not doing that, though.
No,
like,
but if they asked me to clap it, I'd be like, no. And then whenever they said following, it would be irrelevant, because now they're just mad I wasn't clapping it.
I feel like I wouldn't even be able to talk, though, honestly. Like, lights, like, you have a white wall behind you. Like, it's a lot.
I would look crazy on a white wall.
Yeah.
Why is it white?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, dude. Like, if it was just, you know, people our age, like, that would be better. But a rapper, because like, even going on to meet Krishan, like, I would have been fucking nervous.
Well, and they don't tell you. And that's why
who
like,
it is,
if
right?
they had told me who it was, I would have maybe considered it, because I'm like, if it was NLE
What if it was
Choppa,
Future?
I was like, okay, like, he's like a decent guy. Like, if it was like, I love Offset, like, I don't know. Like, if it was like someone, but I think they don't want to do that because they don't want like hyper fans. They want like the G Herbo situation where the girl doesn't know his fucking music. And like Ugliest Rapper Alive, like the guy that just did Drewski's shit, like he recently did one in Atlanta, and I was like, I wonder if that was the one that they tried to cast me for because it was like around the same time. And that would have been like really awkward. But yeah, I don't know. It's so fucked up, but it makes the girls look like they're going there just for this guy too. So it's
but they're not, because they didn't even know. And and there was one episode I watched where the girl who came, her friend brought her, and she was like, to be honest, I thought this was a music video shoot. Like, they don't even tell people anything because they want to get that true, reaction, but that is manipulation at its core, my friends. Like,
yes,
that's
that's what it is. Like, I know multiple people in Atlanta that are like promoters. Like, I've gone to clubs before with promoters that like are casting agents as well. Like, it's very much a thing, and like their whole Instagram is like casting stuff, and it'll always be like major YouTube channel, like casting, like paid gig, like need 2 women 25 to 35, need black woman, Caucasian female, like need, like they'll say what it is, but there's not that much information. And like, I never really like submit my like information or my email or whatever, so I don't know if they give you details after, but all the time I see major YouTube channel casting, and it's generally, I'm assuming, this stuff.
This shit. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So we asked you guys what y'all thought. We said what we think. Now we're gonna go to the YouTube comments to see what other people think about this content. So someone said, dude said he ain't do dates, and she still said she accept. Y'all accept anything just because he's a rapper. Someone else said, fellas, this is the perfect illustration of stay on your grind and women will flock to you.
Oh my God.
Y'all see how this man was hardly giving responses and they still was seeking his validation. Someone said, all those guys talking about I like natural bodies and then nobody pops for the most obvious BBL is crazy. Someone said they all popped their balloons for the natural girls they supposedly like, LMAO. Someone said this speaks to how men constantly say they don't want women with weaves, tattoos, false eyelashes, and BBLs, yet always choose just that type of woman no matter what their age is. And then the last person said, why would a woman of high emotional intelligence subject herself to such disrespect on a show where they judge you by your body? This is ridiculous.
Woo! Woo! Okay, I hate any rhetoric that is just like women like will accept anything, like fuck you. And like, I also hate the rhetoric that like, oh, see, when you're successful, women will just be falling over for you, because it's like, again, like, can we just like put this into perspective, guys? Like, these women are on here to promote themselves too. Like, this is not just like, oh, Offset is gonna be on Pop the Fucking Balloon, let's all run to Offset. They don't know who the fucking rapper is. So it does not matter. They're there to promote themselves. And a lot of the girls are like, okay, fuck you, I don't want you anyway. And they're also like, they're not just like throwing themselves at this guy. If they are, it's like for a literal purpose,
Right. And that's the difference between, it's like, no, I don't have an issue with someone going on a show like this. I don't think they don't respect themselves. And that's because I was a past sex worker. I truly believe that. But it's like, as you can see, the comments are like, that's what this content is being perceived by people. Just because it is what it is, we know they're OnlyFans girls. They just want to go on and promote. No one else is thinking about that like that way. So when we talk about the greater society and the impact, it's like, it doesn't even matter what the intentions are, what the truth is, because it's not common knowledge that you don't know who the rapper is. No one knows that.
Yep.
So they're perceiving the content the way they want to perceive it. And that's where it's really bad, because that comment, it's like, see, ladies, this is a perfect illustration. Like, just be in your bag and bitches will flock to you. Like, and it's like, is he lying? I don't know. Because if you put a rapper in front of me right now that I was really attracted to, I would be a little bit like,
if you were attracted to,
if I was attracted, not any rapper,
right.
You know what I mean? But same thing, like if Meg Thee Stallion was bisexual, I don't know if she is, and she was in front of me, I would clap my ass for days
obviously,
as long
like
as she
someone
wanted.
with success plays into whether you're attracted to them or not. Like,
Right.
duh, like obviously.
Duh.
But like that's not the only reason. And it makes me think of like when we think about Love Island, Perfect Match, like Too Hot to Handle, like all of these shows, like that is also highly produced and they do similar content where it's like they'll like be blindfolded and have to kiss everybody and say who the best kiss was or guess each other's body counts, like similar type of stuff. But because it's a highly produced show that you're watching on Netflix and these are reality stars that you know are reality stars, you're taken out of it as much. Like you realize it's entertainment. But I think because of this and because like you're technically the same thing. You're entertaining. You're being a reality star in a way. A lot of these people are influencers, creators. They're on here to promote themselves. But because it's so commodified where it's like we're consuming this content and forgetting about it the next day, it's not like a 12-episode season. We're not consciously thinking. We're just like, oh, that's just like the same as like the girl next door or like the guy that I see out or whatever.
Right. And that's also what Cameron Suzanne talked about in her YouTube video as well. It's like you have reality TV offering some sort of realism in a controlled environment, but this shit is way more uncut. And especially the ones without celebrities, it's like you can see yourself in these people. They're just everyday people just like you are. Like, you know what I mean? So
a lot of them are still after something, like because that's how it was. Like I keep going back to when it was pitched to me, but she reached out to me because she knows I have something I want to promote. Most of the girls,
that's the incentive.
They want something to promote. Like yeah, sure, like some people are just going with their friend or they were just reached out to by a casting agent because their Instagram looked cool. Like sure, that's a thing. But most of these people, if they're not OnlyFans creators, they are some sort of creator.
Right. And in this economy and in this OnlyFans situation where you only have the top 1% making the actual kind of money, are you really going to judge a woman who gets a DM, go on this huge YouTube channel, millions of views? Like, bro, like I understand that it has a bad impact on society, but it's like we need to stop shaming the women. Saying they don't have emotional intelligence is fucking crazy. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? Right. You can be the smartest bitch, and a lot of these bitches, they have 9 to 5.
Yep.
Like, yes, a lot of them
or
are
they're
OnlyFans
running their
girls.
whole OnlyFans business,
or they have like a makeup business. And a lot of girls will get up there and sing, and they have amazing voices. They're promoting themselves. And I do understand it does have a bad impact on society. I completely agree with that. And I never want the Black community to be seen only in this light.
Yeah.
Because it's like the reality is, you think about Black content, why is this what's being pushed? When you have so many amazing video essayists that are not getting millions of views. They're, you know, they should be the ones getting the millions of views.
Yeah.
And that's what Tony, Brian, Cameron, Suzanne, they both, their names rhyme, they both talked about that. Whereas like, you know, why is this the content that's being pushed within the Black community? And I agree with that completely as well, but I still think that can be true. And also we don't, and they weren't doing this, but we don't need to shame women in the process as that, you know, because they all have their own point of view, and you're not on the show. You don't know how they got on the show. It's like people are so quick to judge in the comments in real life. Like it's crazy, bro.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like when it comes to like conversations within the Black community, like I want to respect that like we're not in that space enough to say like how it impacts. Like we can only judge from an outside perspective. But it's like, I don't know, like I'm a little bit iffy about anything that talks down on anything related to sex work or using your body to make money or anything like that. Because even thinking about like the woman in the black dress, like the very first or second one, like obviously I was like, damn, her body's bad as fuck. Like I think she's hot as fuck. If she makes OnlyFans, with which I'm guessing that looks like a BBL, it looks like she has her tits done, she's probably in some sort of industry. If it's not
a BBL, I don't know.
Like, damn, bitch, like, give me your workout plan. But it's like, that video alone will skyrocket her money. And like, when we're talking about equity and when we're talking about like making money and ways to like, you know, get out of like the lower middle class, whatever, which I'm assuming if you have a BBL, you're probably like upper middle class at least. Unless someone paid for it.
That happens a lot, yeah.
Yeah, but like, if we're talking about just ways to fucking make money, and obviously we know how like the corporate world and a lot of job markets are like racist and do discriminate against people of color, like other races, all of that stuff. Like, I don't know, this is a way to the bag. So it's like, I don't want to like ignore that.
Yeah, and we also talk about, it's like who started industries. It's like a lot of Black women were at the start of the sex work industry, you know, and like I want to acknowledge that, you know, and that's important as well. And they deserve the space to like do that. And I get that it's like, I feel like it hits different for people too, because it's like watching soft porn on YouTube, which is, that's the other thing. It's like we talk about OnlyFans brand new, all these 18-year-olds want to go for this new X-rated content, but it's like OnlyFans is like a sex work platform now, but now it's like we have soft porn on YouTube, and I think that throws people crazy. And I do get that. It's like any 11-year-old like person that has a YouTube can go watch that. Like I get that, you know, but
and I think like the conversations that I've heard, like also like just going back to like the Black community conversation, like real quick, like I've heard a lot from like people even talking about like Sexy Red and stuff like that, is like the people at the top like owning these labels and pushing and choosing who they're signing and all of that stuff are generally white people, and they only want to see a certain type of Black representation, which unfortunately feeds into the over-sexualization and the over like consumption of drugs and poverty and guns and gang violence and all of this stuff. Well, that's not like the representation of like the majority. You know, so like I think that's important to think too. Like in the communities, like we're talking about the Black community, but we also have to think about like white people's impact on like who owns Jubilee. I don't know who owns like these companies. Is it a white person? That I think is something to consider as well, because if it's white people that are profiting off of the over-sexualization and all of this stuff from Black people, even if they are getting a bag, like that's a little bit, that makes it a completely different conversation.
Right. I completely agree. And we're going to talk more about this actually. So we watched Tony Bryan's YouTube video called The Rise of Humiliation and Degrading Content. Are we not embarrassed? And so I'm just going to summarize some of her ideas. She said, you know, we're constantly pointing out negative attributes of Black people in media. You know, she believes this content is ignorant, embarrassing, and diabolical. She said, you know, Black people already have negative stereotypes. We don't need to add to the list. And she's like, but a lot of people don't care about that as long as they're making money and reaching success. And then she talked again. It's like the Black content that's being pushed is, you know, typically ignorant type of content. And she's like, the amount of women that get ready and dressed up for these videos knowing they're going to be great.
Is she a Black woman, Tony?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's like, the amount of women that get ready and dressed up for these videos knowing they're going to be degrading is appalling. And then she, you know, talked about them like cattle. There was a lot of that. It's like referring to the women going in to get rated like cattle. That's what people are seeing it as. And she did say, you know, I understand people are going to promote, but she's like, there are so many other ways. She said all the rappers seem uninterested. And she just said, like, in general, in society alone, the humiliation content and every other type of content, she's like, why are we constantly letting people judge us, interrogate us, and tell us whether or not we're good enough? She did say it's kind of giving pick me. She said jokes turn into reality. So maybe this is all fun and games and it's giggles, but she argues, you know, it's real representation and it's making people look at Black people a different way, or that could be a result of this type of content. And she just ended her video with saying, you know, I pray more Black positive content comes out and reaches success. And then she did highlight a bunch of, you know, video essays and commentary channels that highlight problems in the Black community.
Yeah.
And then she did play this TikTok as well in her video. So we're just going to watch it and then we'll talk about everything.
Okay.
We have to stop this 20 girls versus one rapper TikTok YouTube videos, like, for real. First of all, y'all come in with the same outfit and y'all literally are getting holed by a rapper, literally. It's so embarrassing to watch and it's so cringe, like, oh my gosh. And then on top of that, y'all dressing up like this thinking y'all finna seduce him. Whole time they be liking the complete opposite. It's just that you seeing their music videos and seeing their lifestyle on Instagram and you think that's what they like. Whole time they looking at you, come up to them like, next. Like, it is so embarrassing.
Okay, so I mean, I agree with her and I disagree with the TikTok. I'm going to talk about the TikTok first and then go back to Tony because yes, I do think that the guys are slightly like turned off by like that girl that we said, like, remember I was like, oh, she walks like a stripper. She has that like bounce. Like when I remember the strip club, like that's what it reminds me of.
She had the stripper charisma.
Yeah, the charisma, the flirtiness, like the way she walked in the heels. I was like, that's what it was very much giving. So it's like guys say they want natural bodies, all this stuff, but like the comments said before, like they don't. They consistently like swipe on the BBL girls and don't pop the balloons for her. So like I think that's a gap. And then let's also remember that girls are wearing these things because they're promoting their OnlyFans and all of that stuff. But like
not to seduce the men, but that's how it makes it look online. So I get why people go there.
But it's good for them to seduce them though.
I'm like, they're promoting themselves. Like what's, yeah.
And this is and this is like, again, I want to be like so careful. And I also want to like recognize like we are two white creators and we're talking about a predominantly black space of content. So I'm going to try to keep like what I'm talking about in relation to, I guess, like feminism and what I think about like women because of intersectionality and things like that. But the thing that Tony was talking about with a lot of it is seen as ignorant and like this is the representation that's constantly being seen. And like I heavily agree that we also need to pay attention to video essayists, like podcasters, like people who are doing academic work, political work, all of that stuff. And the same, I'm going to talk about it in terms of like women in the feminist community, 100%. But I think we get into very, very dangerous territory when we talk about not promoting quote unquote ignorant content or trying to like minimize that because that is real life for a lot of people. And because like we have been strippers and sex workers and like, you know, we're tied to those communities and stuff. I think about all the time of like, oh, like even the feminist conversation back when, you know, queer people were involved, it was like, oh no, because you're gonna like ruin our progression as women, or oh no, we're gonna cut out black women because you're gonna ruin our progression as women. Oh, we're gonna cut out sex workers, strippers, all of that because like we need to put up a good face to be accepted. And I think that's not real progress and that's not real acceptance. We need to accept other types of stories, but that is still considering, like I don't want to cut out of it the fact that a lot of these companies, I'm assuming, are owned by predominantly like white men. And so like the influences on what is okay to be seen and what is funded is very different. But I do also think that like a lot of the women going on this are strippers and OnlyFans creators in the black community. And we can't just like cut out their voices completely. Like, I don't know.
Like, I honestly do think that like the men are like the bigger problem and like the creators. Like I really don't want to shame the women at all, but I completely agree with what you said. And you have to be really careful talking about it, and we want to be careful talking about it, but you can't just like watch this and not, you know, see that this is black dominated spaces. And when you think about the racism in this country and people watching humiliation content of black people, it gets dark really quickly. And, you know, obviously we're not watching it like that. So you don't think about that, but you think about all the fucked up people internalizing this content. And when she says, this is what, you know, people will think all black people are like.
Yeah,
you know,
all the white people
the
consuming the content. And it's like a white person in rural Minnesota or something like that does not have connections to the black community at all. And all that they are consuming is this type of content. I think that is very bad. 100% for representation in their view of black people in America. Like, 100%.
Yeah, but I agree with everything that you said as well. And I think it's a really big conversation, and it does kind of go into our next kind of discussion questions I want to talk about. So first, I just want to ask, you know, we've kind of already said it, but why would someone partake in this type of content? Because I watched, and the people that go on, they're creators, artists, singers, people with 9 to 5, hairstylists, models, dancers, etc. So many different types. And I think we've established to promote. These girls do not go on here to seduce this man and like get a 10 out of 10 rating. And if she did, what the fuck? Like, I know that male validation is not the answer, but I don't want to demonize male validation at the same time. It's like, just, if people are consenting, so what's the problem?
And
like, you know what I mean? If, like, no one's forced to go on here, as far as my knowledge, you know?
Right, and it's like with the dating apps being what they are, and like people limited to meeting other people. Like, this is a place where, like, you know, conventionally attractive people are going that are all creators. Maybe two people will meet on this and date and actually have a vibe or actually fuck with each other. Like, that can happen and that's okay too. But like, I just keep going back to the fact most of these women don't know who the fuck the rapper is. They're not
and
going
they don't
there for that.
Give a fuck. Who gives? They don't.
They're going there
care.
for promotion.
Right. And just to look cute, have a fun activity. Like, it's not that deep all the time when you think about it just in that sense, you know? And, you know, the thoughts on the host, it's just like, I'm like, let's see y'all in the lineup. I'm like, you're like, girl number 3, aha, she's, oh my God. They're like humiliating, making fun. It's like, let's see someone fucking you go. Because y'all aren't cute at all. And in Cameron Suzanne's video, she made the point, isn't this what dating is right now? And like you said, with the Pop the Balloon, it's like guys want girls that every other guy wants.
Yep.
Like people said in the comments, guys say they want natural bodies and they really want BBLs because look what they're smashing, you know?
Yeah.
And that imitates real life 100%. Like, I was with someone that told me for 3 years how much he wanted natural bodies, left me for a BBL.
Yeah.
Like, that is what happened in this society. So it's like, that does imitate real life. And Cameron Suzanne was saying too, like, this offers a perspective for you to go on there and say, how do people see me? You know, we swipe shit online and everyone's like, oh, it's fine. But then you go do it in person and it's like, it's not fine.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is imitating what we do online on Hinge and Tinder, just in real life. And I think like the Jubilee and Nectar content really do try to go in that direction where it's like, let's just pretend it's Tinder. Swipe, swipe, swipe.
Yeah, they
but
have
the videos we've
lineup.
been talking about, it's more like we're talking, we're showing off bodies, we're asking for 360s, we're making it clap. It's more in the sex work space. When I watch a Jubilee video, I wasn't getting sex work from it. So that's why I didn't include it.
Yeah.
But the videos that we're talking about, it does seem like, you know, it's like, I don't want to say it's a pro sex work space because I think just because there's a lot of sex workers, the women, I don't think a lot of the men respect sex workers. So how could that be a pro sex work space? But I think it's just like a strip club where you have all the men coming. Like why's the rapper there? He really needs promo. Like, he wants to see these bitches. Like,
I mean,
you know
I
what
guess
I mean?
it's publicity. Like, at the end of the day, their PR agent is probably like, yeah, go on this. It'll go viral.
Right. But it reminds me of like the strip club where it's like guys think you're there for male validation. You have no respect, but really you're there to make money and come up. So it looks like they're just using the system where it's like you have all these men that love their bodies, don't respect them, want to commodify them, want to exploit them. But they're like, I could get, you know, a whole shit ton of new subscribers for my OnlyFans. So, you know, I'm going to do that. And that's exactly like how you finesse the system. That's what sex work is. So that's why it's like these are such sex work type spaces and no one is talking about that.
Yeah.
Like no one
and
that
I
I see.
also think the other part of it too that I'm just thinking about now when you're saying all of this is like, I don't think we're used to seeing like women be like open and confident and sexual in public spaces because it's like, think about like half of these girls are probably strippers or OnlyFans creators. A good amount of them, like you said, are promoting their lash business, their influencer stuff, whatever. And it brings me back to the fucking Huak Tuah girl that did the street interview, which everyone wanted her to start a fucking OnlyFans because she was asked some fucking question where she talks about like Huak Tuah, like spin on that thing. Like, and now she's like a big influencer. She's going on podcasts. People are like, what is she doing? Because she got big off of being a woman that's comfortable talking about sucking dick on camera, off chance, with a stranger, as many of us are when we're drunk, when we're out, when we're feeling flirty, when we're feeling confident, fucking whatever. And now everybody's fucking mad that she's not taking the OnlyFans direction. And it's like, wait, like, guys, like, women
Like,
can
what?
also be sexual and flirty in front of cameras, in public, whatever, without it being tied to sex work as well. Like,
Right.
it doesn't have to be, like, I don't like the argument that, like, oh, if you're gonna shake it, like, you have to be profiting off of it. Because it's like, what if this woman really just liked this fucking guy and, like, she feels confident and, like, whatever. Like, that is also equally okay, you know? So I'm like...
I'm so in love with you. It's so fire. It's so true. because it's like, okay, so you're degrading someone that's shaking it for money, but if they're shaking it and there's no money, you degrade them times 10, 10, 10. It's like the math is not math.
You're like, oh, you can shake it, but only if you tell me
if you're
exactly
making money.
And it has to be
you're
this
still
amount
a prostitute,
of money.
though.
It has to be this
up
amount
here.
of money. And if you do that, you're taking the easy mode. Like, what are we talking about? We love to kill women's sexual spirit and flirty spirit, like, completely.
Yeah. And no matter if you are a sex worker or you're not a sex worker and you said you love to suck dick on camera, the guys aren't going to want you either way. Like, they blur that shit together. No one sees the difference. Like,
you're fucked.
It's insane. I know. All right. So, you know, we talked a lot about, like, why would someone do this type of content? Now we're going to transition into why would someone do OnlyFans? Just like, why would someone go on this platform to, quote unquote, humiliate themselves? Why would someone start an OnlyFans, have a digital footprint that lasts forever? Why would someone do it?
How do you feel about your daughter doing sex work?
So I would be supportive if my daughter chose to do anything with her life as long as we're not hurting anyone.
I did OnlyFans, and I am ashamed at the behavior I've done. I thought it was cool, but all these females that you guys look up to in the industry, the media pushes you, they're all miserable.
Girls who are like 17, who literally when they're about to turn 18 are promoting it, being like, hey, my 18th birthday, this is about to drop. Like, that's crazy and kind of disturbing.
My mental health since I've started this has just slowly like been on such a decline. Like, I feel a little bit dead inside.
You see these OnlyFans creators and like in people's Instagram bios will be advertising, I'm in the top 1%. And I'm like, so you're sucking and fucking for $3,000?
There are women that try to sign women up just to get a referral from them.
Wait, there's a referral program through
To
it?
sign.
No. No fucking serious?
Yes.
No.
To all the young women watching, you are not most likely going to be an OnlyFans millionaire, as many of these young women will tell you on the internet that you are going to be. The majority of people are not making anywhere near the kinds of money that these women are talking about on TikTok and Instagram. So they entice you and they bring you in and you go, you know what? It's just one set of photos. Why not do it? And we'll charge $12.99 a month or whatever it is that you charge. And the money doesn't come in like it came in for these women. So now you have this trade-off of your pictures are now on the internet for all of eternity and you left that, you know, footprint, that digital footprint there, and you didn't get the return that you expected. So now you either go deeper down the rabbit hole of posting more and more content and trying to create to make up for what you've lost, or you live with the fact that the digital footprint has your naked body on it.
Honestly, since, I don't know, I guess maybe 15 or 16, when I found out kind of like what Playboy is, I've been like in love and obsessed just with the idea of being like nude and feeling still sexy and confident and beautiful.
It's just so exciting because I see the potential in this, and not only that, modeling has always been a dream of mine for a long time, ever since I can remember, and I always felt like I was never confident enough, and I never knew how I would even get my foot in the door.
I made record labels so much money off my body. I made a lot of people so much money off my body, and I got the smallest cut off my own body and my own work and my own ideas. And I don't think I have to say sorry about the fact that I want to commodify my own It's been commodified, and I wasn't even the main benefactor of it, so this.
And say that having an OF is empowering. And I think for me, it's just hard to grasp how that can be empowering when you're chatting with men all day or having your management chat with men all day. Surprise, guys, if you're subscribed to an OF and you think it's her texting you.
It's her fat manager.
Yeah, it's not her. I could understand how it's appealing for a girl that just turned 18, fully not developed in her brain, thinks, oh my God, I can make 5 figures a month. I can post bikini pics and make equivalent to a teacher or a doctor.
There's a number of girls that I know, their MO is, I post this stuff for free on Instagram anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Therefore, if I just post a higher frequency of the same level of nudity on OnlyFans, that's basically my morals from Instagram. It's already been there.
Yeah.
There is nothing different. It's a branding problem.
I think they say that to like help themselves feel like better about it, maybe. I can only speak from my end, but it's the idea of getting people's money to show whatever it is that like for me just wouldn't click.
You're a feminist doing OnlyFans, that's empowering, yet you're relying on creepy, disgusting men who think you are disgusting and trash to ironically pay your bills, which is probably the most degrading thing in the entire world. Whereas actually, if you were in an office, it would be a lot less degrading. You could actually have respect in an office. And do not get offended when you come into the dating pool and dating world and you are seen as a low value woman. In my eyes, you are. In every man's eyes, you are. And don't get offended when people don't want to marry you, don't want you to be their girlfriend. You're going to hit the real world eventually. It's just a matter of time. And no one with any level of like a brain would ever respect someone who does that.
There's a lot to unpack there.
I don't go on the internet and expect people not to judge me. You cannot be a sex worker and expect people not to judge you.
I agree with that.
So just don't complain about the outcome. Go get your bag.
Yes.
And then deal with no one thinking that you're a valuable human, and also bringing just shame to your family name as well.
Hey guys, Autumn here. So we have been having so many technical difficulties lately. My video did get lost. The screen recording failed. So it is what it is, but it's really quick. I do come back super soon in the episode. So in the meantime, if you're watching visually, enjoy this, almost off-putting image of me. And then I do come back. Okay, back to the episode.
Okay, so there's definitely a lot to fucking unpack here. Like, I feel like, it's so fucking hard because, I've never done OnlyFans. You have. We've both been strippers. We've both done sex work type of things. And I feel like coming from that place, like even the first couple of YouTube shorts where it was women talking about like the impact on their psyche and all of those things, like it is real. And it's so hard to talk about it because it's like sex workers are so disrespected constantly that it's like you don't want to say anything bad because you don't want to disrespect like the work in the industry and seeing it as actual work, but it is. And like for me personally, like I felt very against OnlyFans for myself because of like the like digital footprint of it and it being out there for a long time. And also like I do corporate work, so the risk for me is like pretty high. Granted, I do post pictures where you can see my nipple on Instagram, so arguably that's the same. But like the things that I've done at the strip club or even more escort style things, like to me, like the ability to be in that moment and leave provides me with more of a safety. And I find a lot of people will constantly say like in-person stripping, sex working, escorting, all of those things like is more dangerous. And it definitely is because your physical body is there and your physical safety is in danger. But the long-term impacts of that, I think, are a lot less in terms of like it coming back to bite you and hurting your reputation, especially if you're trying to keep things like on the low and under wraps. So like for me, that's why OnlyFans can be like a really fucking complicated situation. And like the first short, like they were on the whatever podcast, like that woman, the Australian woman, like that's like where it pisses me off because it's like on one side, I want to be able to be like, okay, there's a middle ground between these like fucked up manosphere conservative creators, whatever, because some of the things that they're saying hold some truths, but like them not like bringing in the other side of things, I like don't ever even want to acknowledge it because I'm just like, fuck you, you hate us, so why are you talking?
Right. And that was a montage of actual sex workers talking about their experience and other people perceiving sex work.
Yeah.
We mix those two together. And, if you heard from a lot of the creators, it is a lot about empowerment for a lot of people. And that's okay. And some people, it might be the opposite of empowerment, and that's fine. It's like everyone's type of empowerment is different. And that woman who talked about, I just really love being nude. Like it makes me really happy. It's like, that's so real. So a lot of people do OnlyFans because it's empowering. And I think honestly, when you're getting into the people that are like, it damaged my mental health, like it's just sex work is not for them.
Everybody, yeah.
And I had to learn that the hard way too, is sex work is not for me. And I wish that it was because I miss it so much all the time. But it impacted my mental too. And I had to stop. So I get that. And I think with the rise of OnlyFans and younger creators coming to the platform when they turn 18, it's like, you need to figure out if sex work is for you before you have all these videos out here, So it's like, I think there will be a rise of people kind of being like, I wish I didn't do that because it's so trendy and it's so popular and people aren't maybe even thinking of OnlyFans as sex work in the same way because it is online. And they say I post pictures like this already on Instagram.
Right.
So it's more blurred. And a lot of people don't consider OnlyFans sex work, which I think is crazy. But it's real because sex work is, open definition. It really is. Like, you can have your own as a sex worker, I think
it's
okay.
sex work. I would
I think
consider
it's sex work too, absolutely. Yeah. Like, it is an adult explicit platform at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But one of those, the YouTube video clip in the middle with a lot of creators talking was from Caitlin Pulowski's video, her YouTube video talking about it.
I do want to say one other thing before we go to the next thing.
Sorry, go ahead.
The other thing that I just wanted to talk about with these, the last video where the woman was talking about.
Yeah, that one was bad.
That one was really, really bad. And she was like, why are you say that you're a feminist, but you're having these gross, disgusting men pay for your bills. And I'm like, okay, but... And this is why, honestly, I think a lot of the reason I became a stripper in the beginning is because I had always, from a very young age, gotten a lot of like unwanted male attention and over-sexualization that I was not fucking profiting off of. Like, I could use it when I was waitressing and like flirt a little bit, whatever. But most of the time it was making me uncomfortable. So like being a stripper was reclaiming that. So I think that argument is complete bullshit. And the other thing I want to say is she was like, oh, well, you can go into the corporate space and just do that. And I am a corporate, I work in tech, guys. Like, I work in a very predominantly male field. And I will tell you, like, I went to a conference a couple months ago. Like, they have this thing called booth babes, like, at these trade shows where it's like they have a pretty girl work the booth. And I know the only reason that I was invited to that conference, and it was a manager that's not with us anymore. So, like, things have gotten better. So I do want to acknowledge that. And please, like, don't try to find, like, where I work and, like, all that shit because, like, whatever. But, like, I was brought there because of how I look and because of, I signed people in and all of that. And that is with the degree that I have, with the fact that I write, create all of our social media content, all of our blogs, all of our solution briefs, all of our white papers. I give presentations, all of that. Every single thing that I do in this corporate space is overpowered by how I look all the time. So it's like, in that situation as a woman, I can understand and have been in the position of being like, well, my brain is never gonna get valued and I'm constantly like minimized to how I look. So why would I even wanna go through the fight of the struggle to try to have people value my brain when like I wanna be able to appreciate my brain with just the people that love me and know me and care about me and not try to exploit that part of me and work this fight when it's never gonna fucking happen. So it's not like going into a corporate male dominated field is easier. Like it's really not. At least when you're doing OnlyFans and sex work, like men are worshiping you. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're not worshiping me. Like, it's different types of stuff and it can't really be comparable, but I hate that argument of like, oh, you're taking easy mode, use your fucking brain, because it's like, I'm literally doing that. Like, I've chosen not to be a stripper because of the impacts that it's had on my mental health. But like, I don't think working in a male-dominated corporate field is having a good fucking impact on my mental health.
Like, either. And I can attest to that. I've witnessed very many breakdowns in this last couple of months, and I felt helpless because what the fuck are you going to do? And I think that's such a privileged mindset and a bullshit mindset that she's talking about. And also she's like, don't expect to go into the dating world and be respected. I mean, as crazy and horrible as it is, this is the common thread that you hear when people talk about sex workers, and specifically these girls on OnlyFans that go on platforms like the Whatever Podcast, like the 20 Girls, One Rapper. They have zero self-respect. They're not high-value women, and they should never expect to have a monogamous, healthy relationship because they don't deserve that.
Yeah.
That is what society tells you as a sex worker fucking constantly. And it's exhausting. And I hate that. And I'm so glad you interrupted me and said that because it's fucking huge. And the parallels to your exact life right now. I mean, come on.
Right.
So, but back to a little bit with Caitlin Pulowski's video. She talked about, how it's empowering, and a lot of women say they've never felt more beautiful and more confident. And it's hard to stop once you have that amazing revenue, even if you are just making like an extra $1,000 a month. It's like, that's a lot, and that's hard to, give up.
Yeah.
And She did mention exhibitionists, which I, was kind of like when the woman said, I love being nude. It's like that sort of thing. It would be great for an exhibitionist, basically, is what she said.
Yeah.
And then she also did speak on how lonely and disconnected we are as a community, because she said a lot of men will pay for a woman to, journal, but she's naked. She's cooking, but she's naked.
Yeah.
She's folding laundry, but she's naked. And they're like, they'll pay $5 or $10 for that. She's like, that's so sad. They're like,
yeah,
we are so disconnected. And she talked a lot about that. And her opinion was that this type of content, meaning OnlyFans, does slowly erode society and it rots men's brains. If she had a man who went to strip clubs or had an OnlyFans or was dating someone who followed girls on OnlyFans, she's like, I could never be with someone like that. And then she also, with the, another argument, she's like, I do understand, like, where else can you make that kind of money, And then she talked about the impacts of, like, the videos will outlive you, they'll still be there even after you're gone. And also people in your community could ostracize you. You could get fired. So a lot of things going on here. And we always talk about how lonely and disconnected we are as a society. And I do think that's a real part of it. But I want to just say, like, her, this type of content slowly erodes society and it rots men's brains. Do you have any thoughts on that specifically?
Yeah, I definitely do, because I'm like, part of me is like, well, yeah, duh. Like, we are existing in this fucking patriarchy, and this is what is manifested out of it. Like, you are, in a lot of senses, like, you're getting, like, all these guys in the manosphere, they're getting mad about this shit. But their entire audience are like the people that are like paying for it, and like all like,
I know.
It's just like such a paradox where it's like, okay, well, you're mad at these OnlyFans creators because you want to point the finger at women, but like the people that are paying for them and giving them this opportunity, and the reason that women have such limited options to make money or feel that they need to like profit or commodify their body in certain ways to make money, like I just talked about, and as opposed to their other options, it's like, well, duh, we got here. Like, this is the manifestation of everything that has come before us. We just now have technology that makes it way fucking easier. It's been happening.
Right. And she's just like, this is going to slowly erode society. It's going to rot men's brains. But it's like, what about the woman empowerment piece? Like, does that not matter at all? Like, it's all just about rotting men's brains? Like,
yeah.
It's just it's tired,
good, maybe.
bro.
I feel like,
right.
Because at this point, like, a lot of this is bullshit, and like the whatever podcast I think we're gonna talk about in a minute, which like
we are.
Yeah, feel
we're breaking it all
down. That is a whole different conversation. I think it's a lot different than the other content, and I feel different types of ways. But
it's both humiliation.
It's both humiliation and both a lot of women trying to promote themselves, OnlyFans creators, all of that type of stuff. Yeah. But I guess even with that, at least, and this is, I feel like I come back to this fucking conversation with every fucking topic that we cover, because the internet has made it accept like so many different types of life and different opinions and information all accessible that we have no choice but to fucking confront it. Like you are, and it's scary because of algorithms. Like you can be easily like tipped off of the cliff into this like rabbit hole of like crazy ideology where you come like, what's it called? Not extreme. You become an extremist and stuff like that, which is also terrifying. So like it's both and, but in some ways I'm like, maybe it needs to erode a lot of fucking men's brains for them to wake up and be like, this is not the fucking answer. Maybe I need to look at women like whole human beings. Maybe the woman that I'm watching all this porn for, like maybe this, I'm jerking off, but maybe to a point this isn't going to do anything anymore. And maybe I need a real connection with a woman.
Yeah. Like don't blame the OnlyFans creators and say, oh, it's going to rot men's brains. Like blame the system that sex sells that's been fucking in our country forever that led to a creation like OnlyFans. It's like women didn't do anything, It's like they just signed up for the platform, and you could argue, well, yeah, they're pushing it forward then because now it's all this shit. But I'm like, it's too late, bro. We might as well profit. It's too late.
You've limited women's options so much that it's like, okay, they see an opportunity, and the men push the grind mentality and all that shit so much. Why can you not see it as a grind for women? When you consider women's options, Like, hello, duh.
You can respect the grind, respect the hustle as men, but you'll never respect them because of their actual line of work. Like, it depends on what they're doing. It's crazy.
And it's degrading to men as well. Like, and I'm waiting for men to and they are, and some of these ways, like the male pickup artist Manosphere, which I know we're about to get into, like, they're like being like, oh, don't be soft. I don't know the language that they use, but they're talking against it in certain ways. So it's like, on one side, I'm like, maybe they're realizing the impact that this has on men as well, but don't blame the women. Like, let's be real about who's wrong in all of this.
Right.
I worked so hard to get this body, and I finally have the confidence, which took many, many, many years to build. And right now, I feel confident enough to show it. So why not?
I personally enjoy wearing the cute and sexy outfits. I mean, even right now, like I enjoy it myself, and I like taking pictures of myself wearing them. But at the same time, I also want to show it to people, you see. And then I feel good from receiving the compliments and support from people. I guess I'm clinging on to this hope that I can do content creation for a long time, really. Because, I mean, I really, really like doing what I'm doing.
My biggest takeaway is really just loving myself a bit more. Funny thing is, people think that you don't love yourself, so you put yourself on such a platform, right? Like, right away, people are like, have more self-love, girl. Like, I'm like, maybe, like, doing all this actually helped me love myself. I have my stretch marks and my loose skin around my tummy. My boobs are saggy, actually. Like, they're not perfect, but I actually learned that, you know, you don't have to be perfect to be beautiful.
Yeah, I think this is huge. And like, I mean, the time, like the beautiful things that I take away from stripping and the time that I did it, and even like the escorting, like sex works things that I've done since, is that I love me when I'm feeling confident and flirty, and like the way I'm moving my body and being in a space where you're seeing other women embracing their stretch marks, their saggy boobs, their extra skin on their stomach, like all of those things. And you're seeing men love them for that. And like beyond the men, like themselves, and owning that. And I think because like of our fucked up society, like there isn't, outside of like the intimacy of like a single partner, and like I guess like, you know, you can still act that out through posting pictures on Instagram and all of those things, but there is something that feels so like beautiful and empowering about taking a naked picture of yourself and being like, damn, like I'm hot as fuck, you know?
Yeah. I like want to respond, but I'm so like, it's honestly hard for me to talk about because I want to go back so bad because of all the good things. And like, it can be just as simple as that. She's like, I like wearing cute outfits. I like taking pictures. Like, why does everyone have to make it so deep and so like immediately like, oh, she has no self-respect? Yeah. And at the end of the day, a lot of fucked up shit goes on OnlyFans, in strip clubs, obviously. But like, at the end of the day, it's like, I have had men treat me like human beings. I have had men worship me for like my quote unquote societal flaws, that like things society sees as flaws, you know? Like, I've had human moments as a sex worker too. And a lot of guys will laugh so hard and think da-da-da because they think one way. But in the reality, so many different types of people come into strip clubs, and you think it's only one type of person, but it is a lot of different types of people. So it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, it's two humans interacting with one another, like through chat, through whatever. So it's just like, I don't know, it's insane. But we wanted to ask you guys, just to, you know, see about our audience and if you guys can relate, have you ever thought about doing an OnlyFans? And 67% said yes, 30% said no, and 3% said I have one. I did have one for like 9 months. Like, I don't want to bore you guys with the details. I really wasn't like into it that much, but like I would post stuff. I would send videos to people that would pay. And I would promote it at the strip club. You know, that's what I would do.
You got Amazon gifts before too. Like I remember you had got
people
stuff.
would send me gifts. Yeah, that was a great day. I was like, yes,
like,
awesome.
hey,
Can
my
you put your
wish list.
Amazon wish list on there? And that was a strip club client too. So I really did use it to like benefit me as a stripper.
Yeah.
Not as to like be the next like 1%. Like, I was definitely the people making just like a couple $100s a month. But to me, I was like, it's not like, oh, Like, it was worth it. Like, I was fine with that, you know? And it's just like, I don't know. But, and you have been like, I don't want to make one.
Well, no, I've definitely thought about it in the past. Like,
yeah.
I've definitely considered it because, like, at times where I'm like, oh, like, the thing for me also about the strip club and why I don't want to do it is the late nights and stuff like that. Like, the schedule was really, really hard on me because, like, I'm a person that's naturally a night owl anyway and, like, will sleep in all day. And, like, working those hours, like, I would just sleep in, like, not see daylight. And, like, I have depression, so it would just make it worse. So, like, I did consider it at a time where I'm like, you know, like, the parts that I did like about it, maybe OnlyFans would be a better option, but like I think it's just because it's unrealistic for me to quit my corporate job, and I'm risking a lot even coming on here having this and doing that. So I'm like, at this point, like, would it be even crazy for me to do that as well? Like, why not go hard?
But it does take it to the next level.
It's a next level.
Like,
type of
would it
thing.
be in your bio, like stuff?
But
like
I'm
that,
never
you
gonna
know?
say never. Like, who fucking knows? Like, at one point, like, would I maybe consider it? Like, would I maybe consider going back to the strip club? Like, like 2 weeks ago, I literally did some sex work shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's always in you.
I'm so jealous. Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. But yeah, I've definitely considered it.
And then we asked you guys, do you think OnlyFans creators will ultimately regret it later in life? And 38% said yes, 62% said no. I don't really feel like it's yes or no. Like I said, I do feel like with the rise of OnlyFans and sex work trending, I do think a lot of maybe the younger creators going on that don't really know what they're doing could end up regretting it because they're not fully thinking about it. But I think the people that actually enjoy it and are like making that their lifestyle and their career choice, like, I mean, if they're loving it, why would they regret it? You know, you can't sit here and be like, oh, well, they're not thinking about what if they have kids. It's like, yes, they are. Like, they're thinking about everything. They know the repercussions. Like, we're not stupid. You know that the digital footprint will be there forever. You know, that's before all this shit, we were raised with like the internet lives forever. Like, even when it was just AIM, like, it was like those messages, emails, like, they're always there. So it's like people know what they're doing. And I think if they really love it, why the fuck would they regret it? No. But I do think if you hop on this sort of trend and don't really think about it, you're probably more than likely gonna regret it because it is a big deal. It's not just a get rich quick scheme. It's like it will be there forever. And, you know, that's something that you'll have to live with. I mean, I feel like my shit eventually like would come out, but like I feel like I look good. So like I'm like whatever. Like I would make it look good.
Yeah. And I feel like the pendulum swings, right? Like, hopefully, like, I mean, even the acceptance of sex work now versus like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I think is a lot more accepted, especially even when you think about what's her name with fucking Bill Clinton. When you think about how we, Monica Lewinsky, when you think about how we think about Monica Lewinsky or even Kim Kardashian's sex tape and revenge porn and all of that stuff, like how we think about it today versus how we thought about it 10 years ago, I can only hope that the greater society will eventually come to a point where we see this as work and respect it, and also talk more about the impacts in the education, because I think that is, you know, like what you said, like where people will regret it. I think for me, because I was so young, like, I didn't know completely what I was getting into. Like, I knew what I wanted. I was always interested in the shit. But, like, there's nothing that can prepare you for that besides, like, an older woman who's been through it, a class, like, something. And now there is at least, like, Scripper TikTok or whatever. I'm saying it wrong. 304, whatever it is, TikTok, and, like, all this type of OnlyFans content, which is, like, educating, I think, the next generation. But we do have to unfortunately talk about like the downside of it, and it can't just be the Manosphere talking about the downside of it. Like people with the experience. Yeah
1000%. All right, so like you said, we're gonna get into the whatever podcast now. We're gonna break it down. We found this article from Vice again, and it's called "The Latest Trend in Podcast is Making Women Look Dumb." So again, we believe for the Whatever podcast to be a different type, but also humiliation content. You have the same sort of idea. Women know that this is going to be a heated discussion, and they're going to have people interrogating them, and they go on willingly with consent to promote themselves and for whatever reason, but they know what they're doing. but people do watch it and quote unquote humiliate them.
I do want to say, like, I'm not completely sure, but I think it might be similar to the 20 girls, one rapper, where they don't know what they're going on. Because I have seen some clips of women being like, I thought this was going to be a different type of discussion, and like walking out and like them making fun of her. Oh, she can't handle it. So like, I think there's a little bit of a discrepancy on like how much information they are given about what they're going on before they go on. But yeah, same type of thing.
Right. But every episode is always basically the same.
Yeah, exactly. And you still, like, once you get on set, you can still, like, leave. So they know, like, once they get there, they know what they're doing.
Right, but it is a little bit blurry, like you said. Okay, so reading from this article.
Whatever bills itself as a dating podcast. And while it doesn't rank in the charts on Apple Podcasts, the YouTube channel where episodes stream has 4 million subscribers. And individual videos usually get around 400,000 views each. Every week, host Brian Atlas, who previously used the channel for prank videos, gathers a selection of e-girls, models, trad wives, and your everyday college women for a 4 to 5 hour roundtable discussion of the pressing and controversial topics of the dating world.
And then the article starts to talk about a specific moment in one of the episodes. So let's watch that real quick.
So both of you do OnlyFans. How much do you make, Nicolette?
I make a lot.
How much per month?
I think it's like kind of tacky to say like exactly how much money you make.
I mean, it's tacky to be on OnlyFans in the first place, but
shots fired.
I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. That's like bad vibes right there. Like, oh my god.
Disagreement is bad vibes.
But
so the article continues. I love that it's going viral because it's gained me peer support, social media followers, and OnlyFans subscribers, which at the end of the day is why I agree to go on any podcast to increase my social media presence. And this is from an OnlyFans creator. She said, I think it was definitely chosen to create controversy, which it did. But instead of getting the response they were expecting, which was to make me look dumb and shame me, I got a surprising amount of support from fellow sex workers and even people who are not in the adult industry, says Nicole. It made me proud of my industry that we all stick together. And I'm proud of how I reacted in that clip because I kept it classy instead of acting out like people probably wanted. Insulting someone for no reason like Mary did to me is much more tacky than making a living off of doing something unconventional. So I love that so much. And like I said, she's using the system, not giving them what they wanted and just keeping it cool. And the way that she was like, that's bad vibes. Like, oh my God, I saw myself so much. Like the way she laughed, she was like, whoa, like that really threw me off. But like, I'm also not taking it serious. Like, whoa, like that bad vibes over there. So I agree. She handled it amazingly. And that's what I'm saying. It's like she went on there and yes, the Manosphere was probably saying crazy shit. Yeah. But then she connected with fellow sex workers and increased her following. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why they fucking go on it. And like, this is, I do feel a little bit more iffy about this type of stuff because the other thing that I think is really important that it mentioned is like, it's 4 to 5 hours that they are recording for. And guys, like me and Autumn, like, our episodes can be anywhere from like 2 to 3 hours sometimes, but we are pausing to take breaks in between, to go to the bathroom, to have a sip of water, whatever. They are doing this the entire way through with strangers that they've never met before in this room. And I remember seeing one clip that I actually I knew a guy that had reposted of the guy, Brian, is that his name?
Yeah.
Brian was like, asking her about feminism or whatever, because she was like, I'm a feminist, whatever. And then he kept pushing her. That's
what he does.
And she broke the fuck down and asked to leave. And in the clip that the guy knew had posted, it was just him asking her, okay, well, what's a feminist then? And that's when she broke down because it had been him like berating her for at least like 15 minutes. And like, you don't see that. And of course, I went and did the research and I literally actually sent him this article because I knew him personally. And I was like, hey, I just want want you to know. Like, you can believe whatever you want to believe, but like, I just want you to know the full context of this video because, like,
shit,
you know, I can't just talk about this shit on the internet and not also try to impact like the people that I know like in my life. Like, if I see that, if I feel comfortable enough with them, I'm just providing information. I'm not arguing with you, but like, I think that's a big thing to fucking remember is that they are putting you on here to humiliate you, and you're also stuck in 4 to 5 hours. Is a long, after me and Autumn do a 40-minute video, we're like, oh my God, deep breath. I need to go to the bathroom. I need a snack. Like, it's a lot to do this.
To be on camera for 5 hours, not knowing what clip is going to be made, like,
and being gaslit and like talked in circles, like,
and everything's so calculated and manipulated, and it's like, it's not easy to finesse the system. It's not. And like I said, you have to have a lot of confidence. You really do. You have to be sure of yourself. You know, hopefully these women are like talking to their friends after and shit, you know, because it can get really crazy. So let's watch another clip from the podcast.
Do you like know that he'll like likely never be loyal to you?
He's very loyal, actually.
But like, why do you think that?
Because I know that.
But you both do porn for a living, and you're dating, and you fuck around with other people, and he drops you off at their house. So why would he stay faithful to you?
But I feel like the idea of being faithful is different from people that do porn and the people that don't do porn. Because, like, sex to me is not something that always has to be, like, super intimate and, like, super meaningful.
No.
You know what I mean? Like...
Yeah, I was saying, like, last time, like, I fuck my friends. Like, I love my friends.
Yeah, like, I've fucked you and I fucked you.
Yeah.
Like, I fucked 2 of the people on this panel. And,
like, we fuck.
We're friends.
Yeah, like, we know
besties.
you're desensitized to sex, but, like... emotional cheating, perhaps. Like, what if you develop feelings for another woman?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's where I get jealous.
Yeah. I don't
But
know.
you just said that if he fucks other girls, then you'd get jealous too. Well, yeah. If I feel that there's, like, an emotional attachment being formed, that's when I get jealous. I feel like you were having this issue too. Yeah.
I don't let my man fuck any girls.
Do you think
they would be a whore?
Yes.
Yes.
You don't let...
I am a whore.
It's princess treatment.
Which of your multiple men...
The one I'm married to doesn't cheat on me. He loves me a lot. He just doesn't.
Well, you cheat on him.
He doesn't have like the need to. Like, he just like actually loves me.
Because that's his personality.
I mean,
So does he take care of you?
Yeah.
Like, completely? Is that why you married him?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't like.
There is no Mormon
oh my God!
bishop
Shut
husband.
up! Literally.
There is no Mormon
like,
bishop
He
husband.
can like suck my penis if
I thought you were
gonna
call him.
I can. Like, I can call him right now. Let's see the answers. Actually, I think I. Yeah, well.
Right, so they think their boyfriends are being loyal, but like, it's not like you're...
and like the thing is, whenever I got married, like we like had a scene like right after that. Like,
we
I don't know
literally
why.
had a scene
like,
the day after
I live
she
in
got
LA.
married.
Like, I'm obviously a weird person. I do porn. Like, I'm a fucking weirdo. Like, I'm
I
gonna
live
have
in LA.
weird
I'm not a weird
relationships.
person. I don't do porn.
Well, this is me. I'm a fucking weird bitch, and I suck whoever's dick I want to suck, and I fuck whoever I want to fuck, and I love whoever I want to fuck, and they love me back if they want.
Gotta love the hoes.
They do, and they fucking love me right back.
All the 70-year-old men.
And I suck their dick all night.
This is
and I'll be doing
Clown
it with a
World in the
smile on
chat.
my
Clown
face.
World in the
You're
chat.
literally a
like the
degenerate.
emojis. Clown World in the chat. This is like ground zero for the...
You're like bottom barrel of society.
I know, it's so fun. Like,
bottom
you can
tier.
think whatever you want. Like,
I know.
That's why your man
You
jacks
are, but
off
what
to
am
me,
I?
like at night though.
This is like the degeneration.
So this kind of reminds me a little bit of like Nick Naysayer. Remember when he was on the fucking other podcast and they were talking all this shit against him? And I'm like,
yeah,
shout out to these bitches. Love them. Like, thank you for trying to fucking explain like this shit to these people that don't want to understand, didn't care, didn't come here to fucking understand. They just want to talk shit. But I was having a moment where she was saying at the end where she was like, I'll suck whoever's dick I want. Like, she was like so cute. Like, she knew what the fuck she was doing. And I was looking at the host, Brian's face. He was low-key blushing and he was low-key gassed. And I had a moment where I was like, this is the only way and the only time he will be surrounded by this many beautiful women.
Only time. And they are not on there to talk to him.
And he was like ground zero. Like and I'm like looking
Like,
at his
bitch,
face, I'm
you
like,
want
low-key
her.
you're laughing and low-key you like think she's bad as fuck.
Right. And I think it is totally fine to own being a whore and calling yourself a whore. You know, I think that is completely fine.
Yeah.
Do I think every, OnlyFans creator wants to be called a
Has
whore?
a bad
No.
connotation, yeah.
Right. Not everyone does, but she was owning it and I love that. And yeah, they're just like, sex is just sex. Like, it doesn't need to be like, there's different types of faithful when you're in porn. Like, they really were good intention trying to explain, but those fucking horrible bitches on the
this is what I'm saying, because me and Autumn, like, off camera, and like we eventually want to do an episode, like I think we've brought it into our episodes where we talk a lot about pick-me's, and we have very, very complicated feelings about this, because like I think both of us think, like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like a misogynistic way of like talking about other women, and a lot of times it's internalized misogyny playing out, all of these things, like, and in this case arguably it could be as well, but like to me, women like this and women like Pearl that like heavily align themselves with extremely misogynistic men and then berate other women, that is the definition of a pick-me. Fuck a woman who likes football, fuck a woman who appreciates male validation, like all of that to me is not a pick-me. The definition, I think, is that fucking shit right there.
Dude, absolutely, I agree with you. And I think it's like, you know, am I harsher on the women standing up for the conservative shit more than the man? You know, and that's where it's like, you know, who's the real problem? Is it the host, or is it, but it's just so hard for me to watch women go at it like that for, you know, men's entertainment.
Bad for them, though. In a way, like, as much as I'm like, you're a pick me and like kind of fuck you, I do still feel like, because they're women, I'm looking at them like, who hurt you so fucking bad that you feel like you have to do all that? Why do you hate yourself? Because like at the end of the day, like you are like, they're not gonna like you anymore, and that's the sad thing about a pick me. Like we saw it with Pearl, whatever. Like they're not gonna like you.
He wants to fuck her more than y'all.
Exactly.
Look at him.
He's like blushing at her shit. Like he's completely ignoring the other girl. He's not like, yes, like what you said is a good point. He's not even talking to her.
They'll never align with you. They will never align themselves with you. Like literally never. Like it's people, because like men that hate women. They don't give a fuck if you're a sex worker, if you're conservative. They will never look at you like that. So it's honestly more embarrassing to go on there and think that you're like, you know, on the good side of this show. Like this is the,
and it's the same thing in a lot of ways to me when girls with natural bodies like make fun of girls with BBLs and all that stuff, because I'm like, it's the same. Like you think, oh, I have a natural body. Guys like natural bodies, they say that all the time, but like he still wants to fuck with the girl with the BBL. Not to say he doesn't want to fuck with you, and like that's a whole different issue. But it's still like when you're like lifting yourself up against other women to try to seek male validation that is specifically around misogynistic shit, I feel like that's when it's really pick me behavior.
I totally agree. Okay, the last clip we're gonna watch is when Candace Owens was on the show. And if y'all don't know, she's an American conservative political commentator, author, activist, and television presenter. So this is just a YouTube short.
I am fascinated by hoes. I'll say it. I'm absolutely fascinated by the way the hoe mind works, the way the hoe hive works. I'm fascinated.
Next
I cover it
documentary.
on my show. You are correct. It is trending.
And that's why
when
it's such a
Emma
hot
gets
topic
up
to
and does a
speak about.
video and says something like, you know, it's chic to be divorced before you're 30. It is absolutely fascinating to see how someone's mind can be so warped. You know, in the same way that I think it's fascinating when anybody does anything crazy or says anything crazy, and I cover it on my podcast. You know, I am not knocking it at all. I just tell people what the facts are. You can choose this lifestyle, and here is where you are 99.9% likely to lead in your life, right? You are probably not destined for marriage. You're probably not destined for a stable relationship. Men are going to not want this long term. You can say it 1,000 times. You can have 1,000 cultural examples, and women's still got to go out there and be hoes, you know, because they're about their money and about a Cardi B song or whatever it is. So yes, I think it is fascinating.
Woo! Okay, Candace Owens, like, I know, like, I was telling Autumn off camera, but FD Signifier, I had mentioned him in the trauma dumping episode. Like, I've been big on his YouTube video essays, and he talks about her a lot, and specifically her relationship to the Black community and Black conservatives and all of that. So definitely, if you guys want to deep dive her and more on her, check out his fucking videos, because he does a lot. But I'm like,
but don't go to her channel.
Right, don't go to her channel. But I had a moment where I was like, bro, like how she says she's so fascinated with it, right? She creates all this content like against it and all this stuff. And I'm like, isn't it so funny? She's like built, and similar with the whatever podcast, she's built a career off these people's backs, low key. But then I'm like, are we the same as well? Kind of, in a weird way. Like, I don't think we only cover Manosphere content and like bullshit conservative shit. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it is this weird, like, cycle paradox. Where it's like, we need each other. Like,
no, you're going to break my brain, actually. Please stop, Fiji. This is why, you guys, she always takes it just a little. I'm like, bro, that's so true, though. It's crazy. I can't lie. Like, I watched this whole episode that was like so fucking long, and it was just insane. Like, this woman really interrogated these women, laughed at them. It was very humiliation to the extreme. And Mr. Brian Atlas, he was like blushing at Candace. He was like, Candace, we need to have you here every week. Like, you're so fucking perfect. It was just, it was crazy. And to go on that show as a sex worker, you have fucking strength. You have confidence. Like, my heart goes out to you. And, you know, I'm like, should women stop going on this podcast so it doesn't exist anymore? I don't really agree with that. Like, same with the humiliation.
See, I don't, because I felt that way. Like, back when we did Gender Wars, and I was watching some of the whatever podcast content, I like didn't know how I felt. I mean, I think now from this lens and this perspective and talking about the other stuff, I do agree with you more. And I feel like, because I mean, but at the same time, part of me is like, his platform would not exist without these. It's a whole round table of women. So what if all women were like, no, I'm not going to go on that? I mean, there would still be the conservative women on there, but they wouldn't, you know. But I'm like, is it also good to have like the voices there and have a conversation? I don't know.
It's just like always on women, though. Let's all boycott. And it's like, that's okay that's where our minds go. Because yes, if all women did boycott, there wouldn't be anything. But it's like, there would be other shit too.
And they
like,
need to promote themselves. Yeah, you're right. See,
you know what I mean? It's always that instinct, though, because I felt the same way. And I've watched creators talk about this podcast and say, beg with their female audience, please stop going on this podcast. Yeah. And it's just like, it's always on the women to stop, like, you know, it's exhausting.
You're right, because it's like, I feel like with the other types of content, like the Pop the Balloon and the 20 Girls, One Rapper, it's more subtle. The misogyny is more like subtle. Like, it's not blatant, like, you will never get married, you don't exist, like all of that type of stuff.
It's more like body shit.
It's more body shit. Yeah. And I don't want to fuck with you, and like these subtle, like, it's.
But these people aren't dating. They're debating.
They're debating. Exactly. So it's like, but like the first article, the woman who was talking about the first video, she was saying like she got a lot more feedback and more views. And I've seen that happen too, where it's like a clip will go viral from that podcast on the women's side of TikTok and get way more views because it's like a feminist that's completely destroying everything that he has to say.
Yeah. So it's like, if women stop going on, where are we going to hear the voices of OnlyFans creators and sex workers? Where are we going to hear their perspective? Because yes, it's horrible to have a person like Brian Atlas be in mainstream podcast world and all the conservative women, but it's like, you also do get to hear real ass stories of sex workers' lives, and where else are you going to listen to that too? So let's not forget about the importance of that, even if the overall platform is trash and harmful. It's like, it also is, in a way. You have people like us watch it. I felt good listening to the OnlyFans girl talk about sex is just sex to me. It doesn't always have to be that meaningful. I'm like, okay, thank God. And I've had a lot of conversations with sex workers like that are so healing. So the representation is good. It sucks that, like, I would love to bring them all on our podcast when we have 1 million subscribers, but we can't do that yet. But
that's also like part of the benefit, right? Too, because if his audience is predominantly men, and I wonder,
and it's huge,
and I
because
wonder,
how many predators
behind closed doors though? Like, do you honestly think though, like with Candace, maybe not Candace because she's not like in this as deep, but like Brian Atlas, do you honestly think that like behind closed doors, outside of this platform that he's built, I could low key see him like having empathy for these women and fucking with them? You know what I'm saying? Because how can you sit and like 5-hour podcast sessions with these women, dropping literal fucking facts. And like, granted, you're in an echo chamber of this chat that's going crazy, degrading them. And then these other like pick me women or whatever that are like encouraging it. But like, I'm like, I don't know. Like,
right. Cause it's like, you know, when we talk about Voldemort, thou who shall not be named, it was like that man hates women.
Yeah.
He hates women.
Yep.
And when you look at Brian, it's like, yeah, he's misogynist. This is also fucked up, but it's not as like he hates women.
I think he hates women.
I think he hates women too, but I don't think it's as bad as like Voldemort. So I think but like, I don't know.
We should name him. I think we can name him.
Okay.
And we're talking about Andrew Tate, but I think that the thing with Andrew Tate though is that he also built a good majority of his wealth off of porn stars, OnlyFans creators, escorts, sex workers, and sex trafficked women, which is a whole nother level.
That's
of
what I'm
like
saying. So it's
hating.
not comparable.
So it's not comparable, but I would say that Brian is also pimping women.
He is.
In a lot of senses. Like,
and he laughs he humiliates them.
Yeah.
And he interrogates them until they break down crying, and then he's happy because views are gonna go up. Like, he's not a good person.
Yeah.
You know? But it's like, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, he relies on like the conservative women to like do the interrogating.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like with Andrew Tate, it's like he was like, oh my, like I honestly can't watch him without like crying. Like, I just think he is so fucking scary to me. But it's incomparable. All men. No, I almost just said all men are trash. That's crazy.
But like these.
Okay, so now we're going to go to this article from Evie Magazine, and it's called The Cast of the Whatever Podcast. And this was written by the girl with the beret, who is like the quote-unquote feminist that was on the show.
That was like viral, yeah.
That was super viral. It was a long fucking article, but this was a part I really like. She broke down the cast of characters in the Whatever Podcast. You have number 1, the whore. Number 2, the eunuch. And number 3, the capitalist. So starting with the whore, she says, enter the stage a woman whose society has failed her. With each woman who comes on hoping to peddle their OnlyFans, there is always a sadder story told between the lines. The whore has devalued her body in pursuit of sexual gratification and validation, against her natural and biological inclinations to seek monogamy, love, and children. And I don't mean devalued your body in the sense of purity. I mean devalued in the sense that you care so little about your body that you're sharing it with people who do not deserve it. The second the host, Brian Atlas, asks these women questions about what they seek in life, 90% of them say they want monogamous partners and families. In a world where women, statistically the sex more affected by social contagion, are pushed into narcissism by an ever-growing capitalistic industry seeking to make money off them through Instagram and self-help and making yourself more beautiful and making yourself thinner, making yourself younger and making yourself on and on and on. Your priorities, especially when you're young, are going to be a hodgepodge of stuff that will not prepare you for the second half of your life when you're not shiny and new and perky. Enter a podcast with thousands of eyes. When any attention is good attention and when attention feels like love, you're going to message Brian Atlas from the Whatever Podcast and you're going to get on that podcast for that attention. And you can perhaps even make thousands of dollars for it. Incels are created through women's power, yet these women go on these podcasts to degrade themselves and get sexual attention from this very unchosen group. So obviously she has, a perspective for sure. Can't say I agree with, some of it.
Thank God.
Definitely not. What the fuck? Why would I? Bro?
Okay, I was like a little nervous because you said like she's a feminist. I don't know the clip she went viral for.
I know she was quote unquote feminist on the podcast, but not a good kind of feminist. Like she's like definitely not pro sex work at all.
Okay.
Basically, it's like I don't know. It's just like the last line where incels are created through women's power, yet these women go on these podcasts to degrade themselves and get sexual attention from this very unchosen group is exactly what you were talking about with the cycles and the paradox. It's like, and that's what other people have said. Like that is always the argument. It's like, you know, you talk about empowerment, but really you're just getting paid by a bunch of incels that are 70 years old and fat and ugly. I mean, that's other people's words, not mine. Like, that's what people say. And just talking about, like, you know, there's all this attention seeking going on and they'll do whatever it takes to, like, get that attention. And it's just, like, completely missing it. But I do think it is good representation of what society thinks about the people that go on these podcasts, because this is nothing new. Like, this is what people think about sex workers, quote unquote whores. So it's, I don't know.
Yeah, the whore is a crazy term. I would prefer the sex positive entrepreneur or something like that. I think would be more fit. Right. But I mean, the line that really stuck out to me that pissed me off was, and I don't mean devalued your body let me go back. The whore has devalued her body in pursuit of sexual gratification and validation against her natural and biological inclinations to seek monogamy, love, and children. And I don't mean devalued your body in the sense of purity. I mean devalued in the sense you care so little about your body that you're sharing it with people who do not deserve it. And this, okay, let me break it the fuck down, because first we're talking about devalued her body in the pursuit of sexual gratification and validation. That's wrong. It's not in the pursuit of sexual gratification and validation. Rarely are these women looking for validation. I mean, maybe sometimes that comes out of it and that's cool. Rarely are they looking for sexual gratification. Sometimes that comes out of it. It's cool. It is for money. It is a job. It is for work. Second, if we're going to go against her natural biological inclinations, then she says later, you know, most of these women say they want monogamous partners. Look at the two women in the video that we were just talking about, where they are in relationships where they have like these agreements, but I would argue that they're technically not monogamous because they have these agreements about sex outside of it because it is work. So when we're talking about monogamy, like, yes, they want to love one person and they want to have a consistent partner, but it is outside of the context of what we would generally consider monogamy. So like, shut the fuck up. And then the last part, devaluing your body, like you care so little about your body that you're sharing it with people who do not deserve it. No. Like, I'm like, you value your body and you see the value in your body that can bring you a profit, that can set you up for a better life and also generations after you and your family. So you are using that body as a tool and an instrument in the same way that we use our mind or our body for a physical sport. Look at people in the fucking Olympics. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, these people that have this argument are constantly like arguing that these women are devaluing their body, disrespecting themselves. They don't really want to do this, all of these things. And I'm like, literally, fuck you. You're putting that on them. That's not how they feel. And they're saying that is not how they feel. So what?
Right. And if they end up feeling like they did disrespect themselves later, okay, like, what are you going to be like, ha, you're like, I was right?
And
like,
don't you feel like, I mean, for me, sorry to interrupt you. I'm just
no, I don't really, like, honestly, please. Yeah.
But I'm like, I feel like every time that I've felt like I've crossed the line and I feel guilty about it or like feel shame or whatever the next day when I was in these situations, one, I feel like it was because of the greater, like me growing up in Catholic school, me growing up in society as a woman, the shame that I'm feeling from my socialization. I feel like that's one. And I feel like two is me not having the education or me not holding strong enough in my own boundaries and trusting myself. Like, that is what it was. And I think that is something that comes in any job in a lot of senses. It just goes a little bit deeper because of, like, again, the socialization of it is so connected when we talk about shame. But like, it's never been like, whenever, even like a couple of weeks ago when I had this interaction where I did like some smaller sexual things with this man, I ended up making $500.
You're making it sound so mysterious, bro. Because it wasn't anything crazy.
It was nothing, but that's the exact thing. It was nothing crazy. I'm flirting with him, show him a boob or two, like, it, like, kiss
or
another
three.
Girl, like, what, or three, I have three
or
titties.
Two, kiss another two girls.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
I wish
like,
I was there, bro.
But in that moment, I'm feeling like, oh, like, I'm a hot bitch. Like, I'm good at flirting. Like, I can finesse this man. Like, he wants to pay for it. He knows what the fuck he's doing. I'm getting this extra money. When I go home and feel a type of way the next day, it is only because of the shame and the socialization around me feeling like that's an unacceptable thing to do and that's a dirty thing to do. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
that's
Because of society.
I agree with that so much. Like, I feel like it really was so empowering in the moment in so many ways. And the shame after did come from like the dirtiness. To me, it's like that was a dirty thing to do. Like, that was not wholesome. Like, you're like hurting yourself. Like, why would you do that? Like, your energy. But it's like, I chose to believe that like I can cleanse that and I can get rid of that. And I still do believe that. It's like the past bodies I messed around with in the strip club, they like, y'all would argue that it's always going to be there, like even if you quit. But I personally really don't believe that. And I really hope other people can like try to understand that just because sex is so marriage and religious and whatever to you, like, bro, like it's not like that for everyone, and people will not accept that. And I honestly, like, maybe this is me shaming women that I'm like, what, like, because they're not sex workers, but it's like the people on the podcast when they're like, it's like, y'all wish you had the confidence to do that. Like, y'all wish you could feel the empowerment because you have no fucking idea what you're even saying, bro. Like, you have no idea. It's like, if you don't have sex work experience, education, read about it, watch about it, shut the fuck up, because nothing is valid without that.
And also, like, even when we go back to like how I was talking about the Huak Tuah girl and like even women's sexuality being owned, like when I look at some of these women that are talking so hard against it, it's like, okay, maybe you don't want to be a porn star and fuck all these guys and put your shit on the internet and all of that, but I still look at you in a lot of ways as like, you're like living in this prison of your own shame about your sexuality. And like how freeing it is when I go out and flirt. I love to flirt. And I saw like one of those train interviews. One of the girls was like, I think we need to develop a better sense of play and flirting in our lives, because like flirting is fun and we forgot how to have fun with it. But like flirting and also like sex work and sex and all of these things, like it's a whole like place to explore like your kinks and like have fun and find pleasure and go back and forth with another person. And why do we make something like that that's so beautiful like into this like strict, like, no, you must marry them, no, after 3 dates they have to do this, after they have to do this. And it's like that's not to ignore the side of porn that's like, you know, removing a lot of the human aspects of things, because I think that's still a thing. But just speaking to those women, like I look at them as like in literally prisons of their own shame and misogyny, where it's like you need to go live a little and have a little more fun.
Because at the end of the day, even if I regretted sex work to the point where I was like, oh my God, like I can't even go on, which I don't feel like that. Like I learned so much about myself, and like I really do feel like I'm a more like knowledgeable member of society, and like I was able to like unlearn a lot of stuff through going through that. So it's like, you know, it's like there are positives to it. There really is. Okay, so moving on in the article, now she talks about the unit, which is basically all the people that subscribe to the whatever podcast, pay tips, and keep the content going, right? Like all the views. And basically it's just fucking incels. So she says, this is when the eunuch enters the stage. A eunuch is a man who has been castrated. Historically, this was done to men who guarded women's living areas as a protective measure or as a punishment. And as a result, eunuchs lack virility and power, both physically and symbolically. Imagine you're a man who is short or ugly or unemployed. In a world where the fate of your children is determined by your sexual partner, there is anxiety. You don't want to be lonely. You have a testosterone-induced sex drive, and obviously the human urge to procreate. Imagine seeing women who have very little to offer the world by male standards. Imagine seeing someone who can get access to any resources at the drop of a hat just by virtue of their body, while you can't count on marrying hypergamously. Imagine seeing these women talking about being able to have sex with almost any man they choose, all the while you're struggling to get access to those very resources and nobody is having sex with you, and you're increasingly becoming anxious and angry. Imagine they're saying the dumbest things you've ever heard anyone say. Imagine they're saying they want monogamous husbands and families, yet they make porn. They want the best of traditional life and modern life. They want their cake and they want to eat it too. And they're getting all of it while you're at home alone and angry. Your resentment will build into an iron suit. Like, I don't even want to spend too much time, but I'm just like, this shit, like the way she really painted that out, it's just like so misogynistic and fucking crazy.
No,
like
it's completely misogynistic.
It's insane. And to kind of like describe an incel in that light, it's like, okay, that was different. Like, I don't know.
I will say, like, and I don't know.
Like, yes, it does make them anxious and angry, but it's like, the action is not to shame women. Oh, you're bad. You're making men anxious and angry.
Yeah.
And that's what she was doing. But it's like, yes, men are anxious and angry. We can all agree with that.
Yeah. And I think it is like, because it's so fucked and weird to talk about it from a woman. Like, I mean, us being in a place where it's like we're women who have been over-sexualized our entire life and have always had access to sex, but we see it in a completely different light as something we don't want. A lot of the times that's put onto us. I, a lot of times, cannot imagine myself in the body of a man like this who has like wanted sex and never been able to get it. And like also being a man and existing in patriarchy. Like, I don't want to minimize that struggle because I think that is a very sad, lonely place to be. And again, I'm going to bring up FD Signifier because he does a really big deep dive into like the manosphere.
We stand FD Signifier.
Incels, all of that stuff. Like, and he's a man. So I feel like, he can talk about it a little bit like deeper. But so I don't want to minimize that, but it's like, and think about it. Like, I'm like, we've been in a position where you look at like a pretty fucking influencer bitch with a BBL and Botox and the perfect body and you're like, okay, bitch, what are you complaining for? Like, you have access to the shit that I don't, so like, fuck you. Like, you know, when you put it on that scale, like, I get it, but it's just like, we're getting mad at the wrong fucking things because like, these women are struggling as well. And like, can we talk about the problems of the incels? And can the incels exist? And I do think we need to pay attention to men's issues. Like, I do think the manosphere can't be the only people talking about men's issues. Like, obviously it's not fucking working. But like, the misogyny that comes with it is just
ick. And it takes a lot for us to fucking say that, by the way. And then I don't even want to dwell on the capitalist part. She basically just talks about the host is like making thousands of dollars every week off this content. But the ending of the article said, there is a unique humiliation ritual on these podcasts, which I've never fully understood. While you watch, you're acutely aware of the fact that most of the women are enjoying being called dumb. Not true. Like, that's fucking not true.
I mean, I think they're expecting it.
Right.
So I think it could be read that way if you're dumb, but like...
They're enjoying
They're
being
not
called
enjoying...
dumb.
They expect it. I mean, as an OnlyFans, you expect it, you know?
Right. Their consent to be called beautiful and bimbos only when their defect is stupidity. What's really interesting is how defensive the women get when the host tells them they are, in fact, not that beautiful and also dumb. We get to see their reactions to being rendered fully defective. So all that to say, fuck this person.
Yeah.
But it is worth talking about because I'm telling you guys, so many people would fucking agree with that. Like, that is the reality of where we are. And like, hopefully if you're listening, like, you've heard from us like a different perspective that like hasn't really been on the internet as much. Like, that is all we can honestly hope for.
Yeah.
So the next poll that we asked y'all was, why do OnlyFans creators subject themselves to humiliation content? And we've already talked about it, but we want to know what you guys thought. So 72% said to gain success, 16% said to get validated by men, want, 12% said, I have no idea, it's insane, and 0% said to argue. And someone submitted a story and said, I don't think OF creators have a lack of respect for themselves. They just need money. However, some of the content made it horrifying and directed at pedos, which is gross. Sorry, it's like weird to say that word. But exactly, it's a both and situation. It's like nothing wrong with it, but also... society fucks everything up, and that's what's going to bring us home. So our last section is about this content's overall effect on society, meaning humiliation content and OnlyFans in general.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll start with humiliation content and we already kind of talked about it again, but back to Cameron Suzanne's video, you know, she was like, this is really just real life, and maybe this is imitating real life, or maybe this content is making real life worse. Chicken or the egg, you know, whatever. So we asked y'all the poll too, does humiliation content imitate the state of dating right now? And 73% said yes and 27% said no, which, you know, do I think it fully imitates dating? No, but I do think that it's, you know, it's reality type of TV with a whole lot more realism.
Yeah.
And I do think it's representative of how a lot of folks treat one another, how a lot of men treat women. But to say it's representative of all dating, I mean, I don't know, but I definitely think it's, you know, it's not too far off if it, you know, so.
Yeah, I think it's more like first impression, maybe dating app versus like dating in general. Like once you get into a relationship with someone, but like, yeah, like when we're out, you're going to like scope out the dudes, scope out the girls and be like, yes, no, in your head, you know, you don't have a balloon in front of you, but yeah.
Yeah. And so with the overall impact on society, Cameron talked about, you know, it says a lot about us as a society that we are really enjoying this content because look at the views. And she's like, it's harmful. It's borderline harmful. And she's like, you know, people aren't thinking critically. It's just jokes. Like she would hope that a video like this might spark, you know, a more deeper conversation. But the comments are all just like, damn, she got a BBL, crying, laughing emoji, whatever. You know, it's all just jokes. And so she's like, you know, we do need to challenge our biases and treat people like human beings, like I just said. And the positives of the content, she's like, you know, if you go on it, you can learn about yourself. You can see about your own biases, how you see other people. And this content can serve as a mirror in that sense. And it provides the question, like I said before, how does the world really see me? And she ended with just be careful when watching videos and understand what exactly you are watching, which like the media literacy piece that we always talk about. So again, shout out to her. I really liked her video. And although, you know, she didn't talk about sex worker stuff, and I do agree with her. I think it can be borderline harmful, but I think it's just more complicated than that.
Agreed.
You know?
Definitely.
And then another Black creator that I want to highlight that I watched their video talking about the Black community and this effect of this type of content was someone named Nax. And they made a video called It's Time for 20 versus 1s to End. And basically to sum it up, he's like, I just want Black creators to win for the sake of the Black community. These videos need to stop. People forget about digital footprint. You're doing freaky shit on YouTube for everyone to see. What if your kids see later in life? Is anyone thinking past the moment, or is it just like, get this money now? In some comments under his video, someone said, the issue is that no grown adult is watching this for entertainment. So who is this content for? I worry about the teenagers being exposed to such hypersexual content, especially Black teens. Someone else said, as a fellow Black YouTuber, I'm so glad you made this video. I was nodding the whole way through. I'm tired of them making us look bad.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's important for like the Black community to have these conversations like within themselves, and I don't want to insert myself too much. The only thing is like when you said you're doing freaky shit on YouTube for everyone to see, what if your kids see this? I just want to tie it back to sex work and OnlyFans creators like that. Like, I think we need to age out of that mindset.
Yeah, we do. And I get how, you know, it's not on porn, it's not on Patreon, it's on YouTube. And I get how that's a big deal. You know, that is a very public, you know, so it's like, I do get how that can be shocking to people. But I agree. But seriously, shout out to him. His video was really good.
Yeah, and the conversation, I definitely think about like teenagers and who's really watching it. I don't think no adults are watching it. I mean, we watched it, like it comes up on your feed, but I definitely think like
I watched it as entertainment for research and then a little bit for fun. But it is like a guilty pleasure in that sense, like reality TV.
Yeah,
you know?
I think there are more adults that are watching it, but I definitely think teenagers more than anything. I mean, my brother, he's only 2 years younger than me, but he knew about this content before I did, you know, and he's younger Gen Z than me. So it's like, I do think the younger generation, I don't know.
Yeah. And I think, you know, throughout this conversation, it is a both and. It's like, should the content stop? Not necessarily, but I do understand that it does affect the Black community and it does affect, you know, people get their feelings hurt and people watch it and young teens are impressionable. Like, I do get all of that. So I just think it's a both and. But I also am like, where else are the sex workers going to go promote themselves?
And
you
it's
know?
a question about representation too, right? Because it's like this shouldn't be the only viral shit of Black creators that's going big.
No.
You know, like it can't.
And I think that's the whole
we
idea.
need more representation overall, because like we look at the Whatever podcast, which is a white man and predominantly white people, but we're not having that conversation as much because there's hella white representation in the fucking media. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, definitely we need more representation of the Black community overall.
Yeah. And then moving on to the OnlyFans side and kind of that impact on overall society, the same article from Vox that we love says, there are those who might view the increasing number of possibly lonely people paying for digital intimacy and those willing to sell it as a tragic consequence of innumerable economic and social trajectories. The concept of the e-girlfriend who offers a facsimile of love and sex to one or many of her followers is to some sign of rapidly approaching dystopia, but maybe those people just don't know what they're missing out on. They have direct access to me and they can ask me for things they want to see. They're willing to pay for it, Marie explains, and I'm willing to take their money, coming from an OnlyFans creator. Perhaps this is the beginning of a mutually beneficial ecosystem, one where concepts such as sex work have more fluid meanings and fewer taboo connotations. Sex and work are already extremely fraught and often nebulous concepts, even more so when combined. If our baseline of understanding sex work is the consensual exchange of sexual services, not a single sex worker or academic expert I spoke to for this story could give me a hard definition of where the line begins and ends. But if the idea of sex work becomes less stigmatized, will full-service sex workers who are more at risk of legal and physical consequences be subject to less stigma too? Or, as many established sex workers argue, will the influx of influencers on platforms like OnlyFans contribute to the ever-widening gap between creators making a living online and those barely making anything at all?
Yeah, I think ideally, and I feel like how it is going, it will reduce the stigma around full-service sex workers. I think there is a good portion of OnlyFans workers who are unfortunately still looking down on full-service sex workers and thinking that they're above them. But there was a part where you were reading in this where I was thinking about like you're like this whole idea of like someone wants this thing that's very intimate that they're paying for and someone is providing this. Like, I was like, what is like that? Like, what can I compare it to? And I'm like, therapy for one. But then I was like thinking about like old people care. I don't know fucking why. Because, you know, like with old people, you have to wash their fucking naked bodies. And sometimes they're like racist, they're sexist, they're mean to you, all of those things. But some of those people, you know, might hate that shit, but they also get genuine care out of taking care of these older people. And then they also make a profit off of it. And I think sex work is like similar, you know, like it's a service, it's a people-oriented job. And like with the digital side of things, you could have your older male fat manager or whatever, how they described it earlier, be the one responding to the messages. You know, it could not even be fucking you. Versus like a full service sex worker that is going to perform the sex and having all of that. But I think ultimately this will destigmatize full service sex work. I hope.
And I think it's a really hard question to even think about and begin to answer. But I agree. I think hopefully, but I think with the influx of new creators on OnlyFans that maybe don't really want to do sex work, they just want to get money, I think that they do look down on full service sex workers and prostitutes and escorts. And that's like, you know, it can't just be like lesbian and gay people you're okay with and not trans people. It's like you can't just be okay with internet sex work and not like, because internet sex work wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for the full service sex workers. And
I prefer the physical. I mean, I don't know about full service, but like, you know, I prefer the info. I don't know.
Yeah. And just lastly, some more concerns about this. The article says, as online sex work becomes more of a nationwide conversation, Some worry about glamorizing a potentially dangerous industry. Revenge porn, leaked nudes, blackmail, harassment, and stalking are very real possibilities for many people with an online presence, especially women, and especially women who are sex workers. In 2020, the New York Post outed a 23-year-old EMT who joined OnlyFans to make ends meet. She later had to raise money to help support her legal battles with the paper. And there's so many other stories like that as well.
The car mechanic, that was in that documentary, I think, on Hulu. And I just want to say real quick, like, that is misogyny in real time. Like, I just listened to a podcast for teachers that was about a teacher who lost her job because a photo of her when she was in college in a Halloween sexy pirate costume, her students found it and she was fired for that. It was not any OnlyFans or anything like that. So that's just, to me,
that's
misogyny.
Like what I said. You can be an OnlyFans creator, or you can say I love to suck dick. Either way,
you're fucking
done.
fired. You're done. Like, bye.
You're absolutely done.
Exactly.
And then we're gonna close off with this article that's called "Why is OnlyFans Being Glorified?" So it says, "We continuously blame each other, but I can't stress how important it is that instead of pointing fingers, we should look up. We must start being critical of those in power and begin questioning why society has become so sexualized. Why are pop stars expected to perform half naked in front of millions, including children? Why are websites meant for adults so easily accessible by anyone and everyone? Now, I'm not saying sex is the 8th deadly sin or that our natural bodily urges are wrong and immortal. Teenagers will indulge in sexual activity regardless of online content. However, sex is one of the biggest doses of dopamine, and when your dopamine relies on viewing completely unrealistic views of women or on monetizing a quote-unquote perfect body, the psychological impacts are scarily profound. Gaining subscribers boosts confidence and provides validation, leading to addiction. It comes to the point where pornography provides more dopamine than actual sexual intercourse, meaning like watching pornography, I'm pretty sure. It's important to understand that young generations are highly impressionable. Adult content is a choice and nothing can be done about that. But when it's being glorified to the point where anyone who doesn't accept it is overly conservative and unprogressive, it's bound to be mainstream and influence everybody, including little kids." Are we mad?
How do you feel about this?
Because like at first, like I agree. Like, why are we so sexualized? Why are pop stars expected to do that? But then it's like, well, maybe they want to do that. Maybe they're not expected to do that. Maybe they want to do that. Like, not gonna lie, like when I put in the outline, I was fucking with it, but now I'm not anymore. Because I'm just like, the point, because when they're like, oh, I'm not saying like sex is the 8th deadly sin, it's like, no, but you are though. And do I agree that has an impact on kids and teenagers? Yes. But I don't think, like, we're not talking about sex period now. And now so it's like, I think it needs to change. Do I think like all teenagers should have access to OnlyFans and YouTube content like this? Like, I don't know. Like, I know kids are impressionable. Like, I don't think you should be engaging with this until you're 18. Like, that's on parents. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not a parent, but I don't want kids to like see that and be like, oh, like I aspire to be that. Like, no, you shouldn't even think about sex work, in my opinion, until you're at least 21. Like, we fucked up. Like, I think it's totally fine to be a sex worker, whatever you're past 18, but like, I wish I had waited a little bit longer because I was a lot more naive. So I'm like totally cool with whoever, is a sex worker. You're 19, that's cool. But like with my experience, I'm like, I think I was too young. But anyways, so what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know, because I'm like, I get so iffy lately about any argument that is like, think about the kids, because I'm just like, okay, like,
bro,
like we're moving forward, we're progressing, we're growing up into new generations. Like they are existing in a completely different environment than when we grew up, than when our parents grew up, than grandparents. Like, and again, I don't have kids right now. Maybe I will feel differently when I have children. And I think like also your childhood traumas and the way you were raised, all of that manifests when you do have kids. But I know for me personally, how I look at it now without kids and how I would want to raise my kids is like, I don't think it's a problem that Meg Thee Stallion is shaking ass and Cardi B is more nude And I don't think there's a problem with that, because just because a woman is owning her sexuality, I don't think that is an issue. Like, I would not hide that
She's
from
being forced to.
Right, yeah. I don't think, like, I would hide
I
don't think I would prevent my kids from listening to Sexy Red, like I've heard a lot of parents say, and prevent them from watching Meg Thee Stallion and all of these things, because I'm like, I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is the lack of education and, like, learning about your sexual autonomy. And I think if I have kids, I think that's something that I would start to have conversations with them about probably around the age of like 11 or 12, and maybe earlier, depending on the way that things are moving. But it's like, I don't think we can even put like a gap on like, 21, wait till you're 18, because kids develop at different times. Like, I was one of the girls in my middle school that developed boobs earlier, got my period faster. Like, you know, girls develop at different times, so do boys. Like, their learning development, all of that. Like, I think the biggest thing is making sure that you have a connection to your children in terms of like their bodily autonomy and their sexual autonomy and the way that they engage with the world. I don't think that just hiding your kids from a woman in like booty shorts and I don't think that helps. Because this kid is going to go to the beach and see women in bikinis, and if you have a son, they need to be comfortable seeing that, and not when you're telling them, no, you can't look at this, you're telling them that when you look at this, you will be aroused. And so that's like creating a bad trigger too. Right. Because you shouldn't. So like, I don't know. Again, like, I don't have fucking kids, but I'm just like,
Yeah, I think it's like, you're not wrong. Like, it's, you know, it could be hard for more kids to be exposed to like OnlyFans, but it's also like, maybe it's not, because it's like, if we really want to get to like a pro sex work space and like break down that like a body is just a body, like sex doesn't always need to be religious and purity and virginity and all that shit. It's like, that's, you know, kind of what we want though. So it's like, I don't know what the right way is to go about that, but I'm not fucking with this article anymore. But I'm still glad that we read it.
Same.
Because it made me think. And that's what we want to do. But we're done, guys. We're going to wrap up the episode now. So that brings us to the end of the episode, y'all. Let us know what you thought in the comments below on YouTube or Spotify, or you can always DM us on Instagram. Share your thoughts. We would love to hear your perspective, what you think, if we changed your mind on anything, if you hated some of the stuff we said or whatever. But we're going to go into our wrap-up segment. Usually I say that. I know, I kind of fucked up the order, but okay. We're going to go into our wrap-up segment where we talk about what we're so wet, so dry, and so confused, maybe a little bit still about the topic. I will go first. I mean, anytime it's a pro-sex work conversation, I'm wet, bitch. My nipples are, you know, they're what's the word? Like,
hard?
They're engaged.
They're hard.
No, they're awake.
They're alert.
Whatever. They're wet. Like, everything's wet, and I love that. I love that we could provide like sort of a new angle. I'm wet about hearing other sex workers' perspectives, and I'm always wet about that because it really does like validate my own experiences, and just like someone said, like makes me proud of the community and the industry that we all are able to like rise above all this fucking shit, you know? And I, you know, the parts of the humiliation content is like, the parts I'm wet about is like, it does kind of give us insight into biases, to how people treat each other. Like, it is kind of like a mirror, like Cameron Suzanne said, for us to reflect on. I wish more people were doing that. They're not.
Yeah.
But I feel like for us and like other people, like it is reflective type content if you want to, you know, try to make it some good that it could be. And I'm also wet. Like, I do feel like I had some breakthroughs like mid episodes, like the part about where else are OnlyFans creators gonna go? Like, if this content gets eliminated, you know, that's so important, you know, and I want to hear their voices, even if it's attempted at being overshadowed by male misogynists or women misogynists. But I would go for them. I would listen for them. And I don't, you know, want that to go away. So I really hope our society can like create some sort of safe space. And I know there's a bunch of podcasts and things like that, but at the end of the day, this type of humiliation content gets millions of views, and it does benefit the women. So what about that part? So yeah, that's it. What about you?
Yeah, definitely same. I mean, anytime that women are like going after the bag, like getting money, promoting themselves, their lash business, their fucking OnlyFans, any of that, like I am so rooting for women. And I feel like also like my biggest like takeaway, honestly, from a lot of this on the wet side is like, I admire these women so much because like to go do this content, like I said, like I've said it so many fucking times, it's probably annoying throughout this episode, but like I was offered to go on this. I am way too shy, anxious, and insecure to do it. That is the main reason why I'm not doing it. And looking at all of these very confident women who know what they're signing up for to a degree. To an extent, because we talked about that. But like to know to an extent what they're signing up for and to like be prepared for all of that and like face it with such like grace and such like good points backing up why they're doing what they're doing or just being their fun, flirty selves. Like I love seeing women existing in spite of all the bullshit. So like that just makes me like so wet and so happy. You know, like I just love
that
women.
Too.
Like,
I love that too. I love that.
I love them. But besides that, like I definitely am wet about, I think just thinking about when you and I were stripping and like fucking, I don't even know what year it was, but it was before the pandemic. Like 2018, 2019, around that time. Like even just thinking about how far we have come and OnlyFans, sex work, all of that acceptance. And I do think now there's a different type of pushback than there was before because of the Manosphere and the whatever podcast and all of that stuff and like the rise of the incels and everything. But like in the way that this type of stuff has become mainstream, it has become more acceptable for women to have the link in their bio, for women to post videos of themselves like at the strip club, like pole dancing, all of those things. Like I really, really do feel like we've come a far way. And so like that makes me hopeful for the future. And like as someone, as both of us who have worked in the industry, we can recognize it a lot more than your average person. And so I think there's a little bit of a slower movement with them, like catching on to the acceptance. But like that article that you had brought up, like I do think, and I want to hope that like OnlyFans will have an impact on full service sex workers as well. Like I am wet about the overall, I hope prostitution gets decriminalized, all of that stuff. Like Canada has decriminalized it. I remember I wrote an essay about that fucking freshman year. I don't know if they've since.
What?
Like before I became a stripper, and this is why I'm telling you, bitch, I've been on this. Like in my polycom class, I wrote a fucking essay on why prostitution should be legal. Like I've been on this shit. Like, bruh,
I know.
Get hit.
I feel like I was so just deep in my internalized misogyny and was so shamed of like, because I had no idea I was going to be a sex worker, but just like my like sexual like vibe. And I was just like, but
well, you were
so
very
cool.
gay too.
Yeah, I was very gay. Say it again for the people that
So
hear.
gay,
So gay. But okay, I love that. I agree with everything. I think the thing I'm driest the most about is that not only do people hate sex workers and are openly are openly anti-sex work constantly, even more than that, they completely eliminate them from conversations. Like it's never even a point of thought. You know, it's like, you hate us, I get it, but it's like they never even bring it up and like acknowledge like that anything is real about wanting to do this type of work. It can't be real.
They're not fully engaging in what we're talking about.
Yeah, they're not fully engaging. It's like even on the whatever podcast, you have an opportunity for sex workers to change people's mindsets. But no, you humiliate them and shut them down. It's just like
you ask the same questions.
Is just the dry, like there's no space for them ever. And it's just like there's already a narrative written for you and there's no changing it, and it's exhausting. And that's the driest part about it fucking all. And like people don't even think it's valid to like go on something like that to promote your OnlyFans. They just think, oh, it's so embarrassing. Oh, da-da-da. But it's like, no, because you just don't get the game in the system and you don't understand. Like you can say, oh, I would never do that. You haven't ever done that.
Right.
Like exactly. Like you don't know what it's like to do sex work and navigate the system. Like how could you? So It's just exhausting. Like, that part is really dry, guys. I hate that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Same.
That's it.
Same. I'm super dry about
same.
the misogyny of it all, because it's like, you're mad if she's only doing stripping and sex work, but then you're also mad if she has a lash business and she's going on here to promote herself. You're mad about fucking everything. Anything a woman does, especially in the public eye, let her not also be attractive and be profiting and so on. You're always fucking mad. So like, the misogyny of all of it pisses me off. I mean, the internalized misogyny of a lot of the girls on the Whatever podcast, that makes me especially sad, because it's just like, oh, like when it's other women, I'm just like, damn, like that prison of like shame you're in.
I just was gonna say real quick, I don't think I'm at the point where I feel bad for them. Like, I have to work on that.
Yeah,
I like hate them.
I don't feel bad enough to be like, I want to like talk. I mean, I don't know, because part of me feels like the only change that comes is from conversation. But like, yeah, I feel you. I feel like we could reach them in a different way that we could reach men at some point, maybe. But also, some of them are too far gone. I don't fucking know.
I do feel that way as well.
You know, but I'm definitely dry as fuck about that. Dry as fuck about the whole manosphere. Dry as fuck about just the way that everyone's engaging with this content, because I don't think it's like media literate enough. And beyond the OnlyFans conversation, I'm also dry about the whole aspect of like seeing women as sexually liberated, flirty, all of that, when they're not profiting off of it. Like in the media, I think that's like a big thing that I didn't expect to get out of this conversation. Like even thinking of Huak Tuah girl, who has like 1,000 video essays about her to begin with. But yeah, that definitely I feel like is a part too, because it's just like, no matter what, we're cornered. Women are fucking cornered. And then you add black to the mix. You add you're a black woman or you're a bisexual woman or all of these things. It just gets doubled. So Jesus fucking Christ.
Not literally. So if we're confused, and I feel like we both feel this way, but it's like, is the Whatever podcast okay? Is this humiliation content okay? Is this, gonna really just fucking fuck society so hard? And I really don't think it is. I do think it imitates a lot of like where we are. And like this relationship dating content did have like a slow rise. Like it's not really anything groundbreaking. I think it's just crazy that now it's on YouTube and it's so accessible. But I don't know. And it's just like, should the Whatever podcast exist? Like, I used to think like, no, like don't go on that podcast. But now I'm just like, but why is it always on women? Like maybe we have an opportunity here to like do something. Like it's making mainstream news. There are some good articles about it in favor of sex workers. Like it's not like 100% detrimental. Like I do think there's a part of it that's good aside from promoting the OnlyFans. It's like they just have an opportunity to use their voice. So that's what's the most confusing part to me is like, should we completely get rid of this shit? Should we like make a new way that's like positive that I don't think could even take place in our society? I don't think we're there yet to have a completely like safe sex work space where people are like, yes, like you're so right. Like, I don't think we're there yet. Like people demonize it too hard. So if it's either we're not gonna see any sex workers ever versus this, like I would choose this because I do want them to be able to promote their stuff and have their voice heard,
Yeah, I completely agree because I feel like the way our society is right now and because rage bait is so incentivized, like unfortunately, I don't think we're as much in a place for us to come to a place where we can have like conservative people and sex workers in the same room having conversations about this stuff where people are going to tune in a way that's like moderated and like intellectual and academic and all of those things. And I think the most confusing part about all of that to me is if it's the only way that exists for women sex workers to get to that incel audience and that conservative audience and the male audience, for them to speak their truth and tell their story and maybe touch someone's heart or mind to sway them differently. Right. I think that that's important. But my biggest concern is where the profits lie in that. And, are there profits that come out of that go to OnlyFans creators? Yes, but I'm still a little bit confused about, like, if it's okay to continue to make Brian Atlas rich in the process of this. And that's the same thing that I would say for the other, like, 20 Girls, One Rapper, that style of content, like I still don't know who's owning those companies. And like, again, with the conversations of the Black community, like I want to open this up to you guys, like as our audience, as our listeners, if you are like a Black person, a Black creator, like if you're in touch with this community, like what do you guys think about that? And like if you have researched this, like what do you think as well? Because I don't know. I feel like I can only give input when it's like connected to like context of like sexism and sex work and feminism and all of those things. But like I do think a good amount of that is left up to the Black community as well. But yeah, confused about where the profits lie, confused about if it should exist at all. I think regardless, it's going to exist. So what the fuck are we gonna do? But how also out of that do we make the shit that is more wholesome and the shit that is more real conversations and more real promotion and real social movement forward? How do we make that exist?
Yeah. And pushed out more, because it does exist, a lot of it, but it's like it doesn't get the attraction, you know? It doesn't. Like so a sex worker talking pro sex work is never going to get more views than the fucking whatever podcast of someone demonizing a sex worker. Like that is where we're at. So that's the end of the episode, y'all. Like we said, please make sure you subscribe on YouTube, like the video, drop a comment. Even if you're on Spotify, we are working towards a goal of 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and we are very close. So please subscribe on YouTube. So Wet So Dry. You can rate us on Spotify, Apple, Amazon. You can do written reviews on Apple. Follow us on Instagram for the polls. We post on our stories weekly for upcoming episodes. You guys can always submit a story. And lastly, you can always email us for topic suggestions as well. We do love to take topic suggestions from you all. At the end of the day, we are doing this, you know, for ourselves, but also for you. So please let us know what you want us to cover, and we will get on that like the diligent bad bitch.
Okay. Yes. Okay, yes. We also do have listener support, guys. It is currently through Spotify. Even if you guys are not listening on Spotify, it is at the bottom of the description of every single episode. It is 99 cents, $4.99, or $9.99 a month. As Autumn said, we're doing this for ourselves because we genuinely like it. We're interested. We want to be a voice for sex workers, feminists, all that type of shit. Also, because we love connecting with you guys. We want to push the conversation forward, but we're not making any money. If you want to subscribe, it means a lot. It really means a lot. So yeah, we love you guys so fucking much. Please comment. Please continue the conversation, and we will catch you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye. Botox be killing romance and eroticism? There's actually a really strong case for not getting Botox for the sake of your relationships. So why are most of the Botox concerns online still physical? There's a study that shows that emotional perception can become significantly impaired with Botox, and another that links it to reduced empathy. Beauty culture critic Jessica DeFino says this is because the beauty industry sells an aesthetic pursuit devoid of real human attraction. It brings back the ideas in this article because in the past we used to want to be hot for other people, but now we want to meet the standard of an invisible other. Instead of viewing our bodies as vehicles for pleasure, we look at them as investments to be optimized. Some people that get Botox compare it to living in emotional jail, and others say that people around them thought that they were angry at them. Once they stopped getting treatments, they noticed that people started to react to them better. This all doesn't mean that you have to be anti-Botox, but it's worth asking yourself if you're willing to compromise your face-to-face interactions. Is it worth it? What do you think?